Oh, guys, I hope my mic's on. Wednesday, October, what's that say there? 26. It's so good to be here. I'm here in sunny San Diego. As you guys can see, it's wonderful weather here as usual. I'm very excited. I got my buddies with me, Shant and Jetty and the great Jericho Green. And I hadn't seen this movie before, and I don't think the way Jericho was talking, guys, I don't think he had either. So welcome in the buddies. We're going to have fun. It is John Carpenter's Thing. What a great name for a movie. How you guys doing?
Great. I hadn't seen this before. You are right. And I'm very glad that I have seen it now. What a great movie. And thanks for joining us from your new beachfront property, man. That's nice.
Right. Well, you know how it is. You know how it is here in California. We have socialism. We have free money. Gavin Newsom, he just gave me a home here by the bay, right here, by Coronado and the convention center. It's nice. You know, things should be free. Everything should be free. That's how it works.
That's right.
You know, it's California. That's California way, baby. Aren't you up there near the Bay Area? You got free shit up there too, right?
Oh, everything's free down to my socks and underwear. It's all free all the time. There is a such thing as a free lunch.
Right. There's free syringes on the sidewalk. There's free piles of excrement of unknown origin on the sidewalk.
That's fun. See, life's about choices and variety. You don't know whose poop that is. You don't know where that poop came from. A human,
every day,
an animal, both.
Every day's an adventure, you could say, right? You got to look on the bright side of the turd, guys. Look on the bright side.
Turd's always greener.
Dispatches from Rhode Island. How is Sean doing up in the great northeast?
Going good. We're still neither a road nor an island.
Okay.
And I think I had an artistic realization, which I know this is a place of art and genius and creativity. And watching that intro, I just realized that Jericho in the Marked for Death gear with the ponytail is probably the best thing I'll ever do with my life. Have you ever had that realization? I looked at it and went, that's a masterpiece.
Did you peak? You peaked at 46?
Tears streaming down my face. Man.
You know, the upside to peaking young Sean is some people never peak. You know what I mean?
That's exactly right.
At least you have a peak.
Yeah, but you can see a doctor about that. You know,
I'm glad I could be a part of your masterpiece.
That's right.
Peace.
You're the muse.
He's gonna draw you like one of his French girls soon.
That's cool. Whatever it takes.
My French girls all have swords. Don't worry.
I'm not only here to talk about movies. I'm here to be used in any way you guys need me. So let's get to it.
Wow, that's quite an offer.
That's you heard it here first, folks.
Right.
So, are you trying to seduce? Are you trying to seduce us, Mr. Green?
I'm trying to get a house on the beach near you. That's what I'm trying to get. Whatever it takes.
Oh goodness. But yeah, this movie was something else. I'd never seen it before. I was ready for the jump scares, and it doesn't really have them. It's not a horror. I thought this was a horror movie my whole life. Never bothered to see it. Always heard about how great it was, and it exceeded my expectations. It had that pulp feel, like good Twilight Zone episodes. You know what I mean? Like Questions of Humanity. And it really felt like it could have been like a stage play. Like when my daughter was in high school, they did a Twilight Zone show that night, and they did like 5 episodes of the Twilight Zone at the high school, and it was really fun. So I've always kind of thought, and watching those old Twilight Zones from the 50s or whatever it was, they always felt a little bit like stage plays to me. And this had that drama to it, that real human interaction, the psychology between the men. I'd never seen it before. I regret that I hadn't seen it sooner. What a great movie. And I should have freaking known. You know, John Carpenter is a genius. He's done a lot of great movies. One of my absolute favorites, They Live. So I don't know why I didn't see this sooner. How do you feel on a first-time view, Jericho?
I thought it was great. John Carpenter in the 80s, Kurt Russell, I'm listening. Okay, because they also did Big Trouble in Little China together. Another classic, another movie for the time capsule. So I was very pleasantly surprised. Now, was I a little apprehensive because I knew there's going to be a lot of practical special effects in this. Right. 1982, I realized it wasn't anywhere near where it is now, but it held. It stayed. It weathered the test of time. It was good. There were only a couple scenes that were, like when they're standing in front of what they found in the ice, you could tell, and then there was a part later in the movie where it got a little bit Clash of the Titans, but it was great. The story was great. All male cast. I love that. Realized that all dudes. None
of these broads complaining. Why don't you just go out there and kill it? You know why? Because you're like your father. You can't do anything.
Stop!
Say that, Stu.
Stop! None of that.
Every now and again, you'll have a point that you're thinking of saying, and then our brilliant, amazing chat, someone will say it, and indeed from They Live, will say it. And Vaughn Coleman said the movie was inspired by 12 Angry Men, so that's why it feels like a stage play. And I was just going to say, what makes this movie great is it's like 12 Angry Men.
Right.
That you've got all of these. It's it's got scope, it's got science fiction, but here's the other aspect. You have to have the caliber of cast you had in this movie.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You have to. It can't work without a great cast. The special effects are important, but, my God.
Yeah, I felt like the majority of the emotional gravity of this film was not the thing, not the monster. It was about the dynamic between the 12 angry men. There weren't, I don't know how many there were, but the dynamic between the men was well written and well executed. And again, that's why it reminded me of like a great stage play. There, when you go to a high school or a theater or whatever stage play, they don't have special effects really, right? It's a play. So they're relying on the acting and the dialogue a lot more than they are on the effects. And I thought that was really great, the interplay between the characters. I wanted to say one thing, Sean, I noticed, because Jericho mentioned the special effects, and I think for 1982, they're great. They hold up. There's a little bit of cheese, but you have mentioned a name on here more than once, a Rob Bottin that you know somehow, and I saw his name in the credits. What is your connection to this man? It was like something about RoboCop, or was it this movie or Aliens?
Yes,
How do you know Rob Bottin? How do you know the man? What did he do for this movie? I saw his name and I didn't catch what he did.
I'm ashamed to say that I only know him through reputation. He retired from the field in frustration as everything, went overly digital and effects by committee. But Rob Bottin did the special effects for The Howling, RoboCop, Legend, the great headpiece of horns in that movie, that fantasy movie by Ridley Scott.
Oh, yeah, with Tim Curry.
With Tim Curry. He did this film, of course. But he is just a special effects maestro that in the mix with, with any of the greats, Rick Baker, Stan Winston, just a genius, an absolute genius.
Okay.
Wow. I'm glad you mentioned Legend. That is, not to get too far off track, that movie's underrated. I've
never seen it. Is that like Tom Cruise fighting the devil?
Yes.
Tom Cruise, it's like fighting the devil as like a knight or something like that?
Yeah, like the devil. There's a unicorn involved. The devil, but if they don't do what
there's always a unicorn.
If you look close, there's always a unicorn.
Hey, you can't throw a fucking rock without hitting one of these damn unicorns.
Hey, you want me to watch this shit? Put a fucking unicorn in there. It's Union.
Somewhere in California with all these unicorns coming in on his lawn, he comes out, get off my lawn.
That's right. Big Unicorn has the most lobbyists in DC. That's
everybody knows it, and we need to talk about it more. We can do a separate podcast on just Big Unicorn.
Right.
But basically, if they don't do what they need to do by sundown, the devil is going to be darkness forever, and the devil is going to have his eternal reign over the earth. But those horns, the devil's played by Tim Curry. He must have had a thing going with the makeup industry, because he had it and around there too a few years after that. But anyway, the horns, the color, the red, it's like it's the stereotypical devil, the claws, but the horns, it's almost like Hellboyish. They're real fat toward the head. And they've got to be a few feet long each, but it's so big and so grand, and his whole body's red, and his real deep voice, the sharp teeth. We got to do Legend. That's what I'm trying to say.
Never seen it, yeah. But for those of you wondering, here's the famous image of let me make sure this is right. Let me see. I don't think I have it. Well, I think I found it here. Let me just make sure there's no nudity, because when you do image search, there's like nudity and some of the images.
No, this is like a PG movie.
Right. Oh, no. I mean, some of the other images are like randomly pop up. But yeah, it was
always random tits. But look at those horns, man. I mean,
horns. I wonder how they kept that appliance on his head. Oh, there's a super chat. Don't let me miss that.
Jared Weaver,
Yeah, Jared Weaver, one of the great fans. I owe him a commission with his Truth, Justice, American Way. You will be getting that. Didn't you all just watch a movie where someone gave free money? Money. Who do you love? Did
Yeah,
the
it was
California government
Batman.
take that information? This is true. Hey, listen, I'm not going to apologize. I'm enjoying my beachfront home from Gavin Newsom.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice. Look at that.
I mean,
And
yes.
you don't have that sunset in Rhode Island. Sorry.
I got quahogs as far as the eye can see.
Ew.
Hey, Shanty's up to his neck in clams, if you know what I'm saying.
Hey, both kinds of claims.
Jericho Green as Clams Casino in.
Clams. But what you can't
movie.
see off to the right of Gabe's beautiful waterfront property
That's
is
right.
a pile of dead homeless people.
That is
So
true.
that's
That
what
is
you
true.
can't see. That's what you can't see.
No, you're right, Jericho. Actually, the building's right over here. That was water before, and there is a pile of homeless under it to hold up the rich people. They said they were inspired by some book called The Great Gatsby or something. I don't know.
Something
So
like
they
that.
just kind of use the poor to hold up the rich. I think it's like a metaphor or something.
Hey,
So-
if I can get beachfront property out of it, build on top of the homeless right now.
Let's
Do
see.
it. But yeah, the thing. Right, the thing.
That thing.
that
No,
was great.
no,
But
the
you
only
see
thing-
what I was talking about with those horns. Just beautiful.
Yeah, insane.
Maestro.
Now, the only thing about the thing, about the thing that's a little weird to me is it keeps reminding me of that joke of who's on first, what's on second, I don't know's on third. Because it's like, it's the thing. And it's like, I get it, but it's a little, when I was a kid, the Fantastic Four, mister Fantastic, Invisible Woman, Human Torch, and the Thing. And I always thought that name was a cop-out. And I didn't know his name at first. I didn't read comics when I was like 6 or 7. I would see them, but I didn't have any money to buy them. I thought his name was Rockman. And then in 6th grade, someone corrected me. They said, no, his name is The Thing. I'm like, The Thing? Rockman's name is The Thing? So anyway, this movie, the name is a little goofy to me if I think about it too long, which I've done, so I'll stop. For $5, Double Brewski, thank you so much, friend. I sold a figurine of that Devil from Legend on eBay some years ago. I listed it as a realistic replica of my ex-girlfriend.
I bet that's so fast.
Hey.
That's so quick. Hey, mine too. I bet that's so real fast. But you know the thing. But
that's right. Man, the thing.
the thing. What's that?
This is Joe Biden's favorite movie.
The thing.
No words.
What's that? 7-year-old, quarter mile away, due southwest. Gotta go.
You think Joe Biden could be like an alien that could like hide his appearance and then come up behind people and sniff their hair or whatever?
Yeah.
So I think that's
working on that
possible.
Ew. That movie would be called Ew. But
all right. So this movie kicks off as all great movies kick off. The Godfather started this way. There's a flying saucer coming down in Earth orbit, and it crashes. Well, you don't see it crash, but you get the implications. Getting closer to Earth. Then you see deep in the frozen wastes of the Arctic this helicopter flying, and there's a dog they're chasing, and they're shooting at it with a high-powered rifle. You're like, well, these guys are pricks. They're just chasing this husky all over Antarctica, shooting at him, and they can't. And it's kind of pathetic how bad of a shot this guy is.
Yeah. Why is he the one with the gun? Because I think there was a scope on it, and there are a couple parts where they're hovering right over the dog. The dog is scared; it's looking up, and they like fly over it. I don't know why. I mean, I get it for the movie, but come on, man! You're up there with a gun and a scope, a rifle and a scope. You got to do better than that. Right. And I would say that Predator might have ripped this off because in the beginning of Predator, that's how it opens with the spaceship kind of going, and you see it getting hot, burning through the Earth's atmosphere and landing, where it did in the jungle. But that's what I thought of right when I saw this, because it just opens up spacecraft, boom, Earth's atmosphere, lands somewhere, and then you have to shooting at that husky.
Hail Antoine. Yeah. I would say the thing I want to say about this flick that speaks to The Thing, funny enough, and speaks to that poster is this movie had a bunch of stuff going against it. One, even to this day, when I talk about this movie, nobody understands the scope that is revealed in this film. Like we'll get to that point, but what they uncover, what you saw in the opening, you just get this person in a snow outfit with, the face shining light, and then the same special effects shot of Rob Bottin's work, and you just think it's kind of a gross out film, when in reality it is so much more I would have pitched this movie as much more of a mystery. Do you know what I mean? Showing them, not emphasizing that aspect of it, but showing the creature, showing the crash site, showing the what happened here, showing, there's a huge mystery element to it. And I feel like when I talk to people, have you seen The Thing? They just think it's a gross out schlocky monster movie, which is such a strange thing. The cast is stellar.
It's not that at all.
Real quick, my wife is in the chat. You guys met her before the show, Jericho and Sean. She's Mad Moxie. She wanted to remind me, I thought he was Rockman. Then someone told me he was The Thing. And then when my son was a little boy, he carried on my tradition of getting the name wrong of this character. And my son would call him The Thumb. And that's not a joke. My son called him The Thumb.
He does look like a big-ass thumb.
Yeah.
And so I wouldn't recommend seeing the movie either that came out in 2005. Horse shit.
Oh, really?
Oh, Jessica Alba and what's that guy from The Shield?
Oh, Michael Chiklis.
Whew, that movie.
Yeah. Hold on a sec. Super chat from a room fan. I saw her at lunchtime on your show, Jericho.
What up?
You three ever seen the Andromeda Strain? If I did, I'm not telling anyone. The 70s one. No, I haven't seen it. I've heard of it.
Seen it, but I heard of it. Yeah, same thing. Yeah. Same here. This guy right here. Hey, man. You were flying around for about 10, 15 minutes shooting at that dog. Did he not notice a pattern? Lead the dog, change it, do something. That guy was awful at his job. Right. And then they can't even do that. Then he has to resort to other tactics.
Yeah. So they're closing in on this dog and shoot. And the dog's not like sprinting or anything. It's just running through the snow, jumping over logs or rocks. There's no logs. There's no trees, and rocks and things, and it's just kind of making its way. And this dude can't hit it, and they're passing over it, and they're passing sometimes 20 feet over. I don't know how low they're getting. Very low. And the dog's just kind of looking at him, and he's just missing, and then they get close to the base, the United States National Science Institute, Station 4. And I had the weirdest thought when I saw this sign. I saw the big chunk taken out of the board up there above the S. I'm like, this is the middle of nowhere where nothing happens. Who did that? It's just sometimes I think weird shit when I'm watching a movie. So I don't know.
At it. It's a pointless knot. Question. I think it was a knot in the wood. I'll say that.
It's not. It's definitely not important. But yeah. So then we. So those are the Norwegian guys flying around. The Norwegian people, they hate dogs. I have heard that. They really hate dogs.
Anytime I'm around a Norwegian person, I always keep an eye on them. They're extremely untrustworthy people.
Right. They go to the co-pilot and he's knitting. He's over there going, it's like,
those little dolls inside the dolls inside the dolls. I don't.
Oh my God. The way my mind worked when I was watching this is I go, look, if you're having trouble taking this thing out from the chopper, it's a freaking dog and you have a rifle with a scope. Land a little bit in front of the damn thing and shoot it from the ground.
I know. If I'm flying this chopper and I'm saying to my Norwegian brother Hans or whatever his name would be, Sven, I don't know those names. I would just land the chopper on the dog if this guy couldn't hit it.
Like, I thought that too when I was watching
bro. Yeah.
When I was watching, I was like, just land on it. You're trying to kill it. Land on the dog because
fly higher.
Get me higher. I wish I would have counted, but he must have shot 50 rounds at this dog. Like these dudes, bop, 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 bop. I mean, come on, man. You got to be better.
And no. It says that ain't no D-O-double-G.
No.
That's
something extra.
Yeah. Can I do a Snoop Dogg? I've never tried an impersonation. Now's not the time, Gabe. Don't try and do it right now. Trying to figure out a Snoop Dogg live on the air.
Yeah.
So we cut inside this base here. I don't know why I was reading about Antarctica one night, and one of the main bases for researchers and I guess military or whatever they do down there is somebody's last name, and it's McMurdo Base. And I don't know why. You guys ever hear like a weird, peculiar name or word, and you like say it over in your head? You guys are all going to be saying McMurdo for like the next day and a half, and they mention it in this movie. I heard about it years ago, and they do mention it when they're on the radio trying to contact people. But we cut inside. And we get Wilford Brimley, the Quaker Oats and Diabetes man, right there in the yellow with the green suspenders.
Yes.
And these men, they never, at least I didn't catch it, specify exactly what they do, but they seem to be scientific researchers, obviously doing. Well, hold on. What did the freaking sign say, Gabe? They did specify exactly what these guys do. I take that back. You just got to read sometimes. And then we cut inside, and they're having their normal life where they're isolated from the rest of the world, because you can only travel here like once or twice a year because of the storms and the weather. So they're playing ping pong, hanging out. and we slowly get introduced to these guys. And it's kind of neat because you get characterization right away. Oh, well, there's a super chat. Let me grab that really quick. Joe Mello for $9.99. Hey, brothers, The Thing is a classic horror sci-fi, one of my favorites. It was overshadowed by E.T., that little bastard E.T., in 1982 and didn't do so well in theaters. Keep up the good work. Love you guys. God bless. Hey, Joe Mello, we love you and thank you for the donation. It is so generous of you. Thank you, Frank.
Good point.
Yeah, I wonder when E.T. was released, because this was released in late June, June 25th of 82. And what bad luck to be released the same time as this hugely popular at the time. It wasn't iconic yet, but damn, you know what
date did you say this came out?
June 25th, 82.
Oh, look at this. Here's E.T.
Oh, 2 weeks before. Damn.
Yeah, that's
so people had time. Oh,
let's be clear. E.T. broke the record that had been held for a couple of years at that point of Star Wars.
Right.
So it was as legit of a major phenomenon, global phenomenon as possible. But here's the other thing that I think is important to talk about. Some of the troubles John Carpenter had with these flicks, which he was making late 70s movies in the 80s as the pendulum was swinging, very similar to where we are right now, where people were kind of done with the cynicism. So it's not a slight so much on the story, but if you want to talk about a summer where culture just shifted completely, 1982 has got to be that. You know, I mean, you could say 1977 with Star Wars, but 82 was like the final, you know, this is what we are. And you saw this with Blade Runner's reception, and you see the thing. It's like people were ready for
uplifting,
optimistic. Yeah,
because we were little kids in the 80s, Sean, so we still remember it. I still remember 1983. That's like I was in kindergarten in 83, 84. So I do have early 80s memories. We're a little older than you, Jericho. And the positivity that was felt in the 80s, it felt like we were all going to live forever in the year 3000 and everything was going to be prosperous. And Reagan's America, it felt like everyone was on Team USA. Everything was going to be great. Everything was going to go to the moon and be awesome. And you could, even as a little kid, you could just feel it in the media that was being produced at the time.
And I mean, again, what horrible luck. And you have to think of advertisement back then. It's not like now where you're inundated with everything and there's a million different options. You lived as a kid, you lived for movie previews. You lived for a snippet of this movie coming out and your friends have been talking about it. And you only see it in TV Guide, maybe a magazine cover, you know, like there was much demand and little supply when it came to the advertisements and seeing these movies. And it wasn't out before it came out in theaters back then. There was no bootleg. So the hype around E.T. must have been insane. I was only 2 at the time. Crazy. You guys are way older than me.
Right.
But
that's why you have to do that's all you have to do what we say. That's right.
Obey my
That's
elders.
why you can't see my IV of beef jerky out of frame.
Jerky juice.
I'm sitting in a rascal.
Hey, I'm gonna have a cup of postum and go to bed.
I'm out of here, Jericho.
Oh, good night, boys.
30 cc's of jerky juice. But the hype around these movies and the little pieces that you got and the handful of times you got to see it, the hype was so built. So for that movie, for that ad campaign that I'm sure they spent major money on for the time, E.T. drops 2 weeks. That's enough time for people to be knee deep in E.T. mania. Just a tsunami just washed over the world, especially America. E.T. So for this movie to come out 2 weeks after that, they just didn't get a fair shake. This is like the Action Jackson movie cover.
Right.
It just didn't get a fair shake. If they had a different cover, the movie would have been better. And I think if maybe this came out 2 weeks before E.T., then E.T. and The Thing could have shared in the glory. Or at least Thing would have had a chance to have its glory before E.T. took it away. But 2 weeks after E.T., damn.
Right. Yeah. He didn't stand a chance.
Or poster, I should say, referenced the Sistine Chapel of God and Adam's fingers touching. Like, that's a tough poster to go head to head with. You know, and this poster was it's a beautiful poster, but it was a lot more, I mean, in terms of its idea, but that's the problem. Yeah. Look, I mean, how are you going to compete with that?
Right.
I mean, heavens.
Yeah, I just wanted to take you back to a little nostalgia. Speaking of the release of these movies in the 80s and this and that, what I loved the newspaper as a child, I would get the comics section. I would read all the comics, Garfield and all that. I adored that, and I really missed that. The Sunday color section was so good with the daily black and whites. I would read the comics, and then I would flip over. I just Googled 1980s newspaper movie. That's what I wrote into Google. And here's a real shot. You've got Young Guns, Die Hard, Bull Durham, all out at the same time. Cocktail. And you guys that are younger, you don't understand before the internet how much more you could appreciate media, because there's that FOMO they talk about, fear of missing out, that Netflix and this iPhone world gives us. It's a double-edged sword because we can get anything we want to make ourselves happy, but that's what makes you miserable. You guys all know you do this because I do it too. You open Amazon Prime or Netflix to watch something, and then you flip for 40 minutes because I want to watch that, but I want to watch that, but I want to watch that. And you end up sounding like the Spice Girls. Tell me what you want, what you really, really want. I'll tell you what I want.
What I really, really want.
There
but first, before I tell you, you got to get with my friends.
Right.
That's right.
Right.
But this, I remember this because you lived for this. You didn't, you weren't inundated with this. So when the newspaper came, you wanted to open it up and see these movie posters. See, and you make your choice. All right, they've got action here, comedy here. I'm going to want to see this. My mom's going to want to see that. But you were thirsty for these. Like you said, the color comics or the color, comic strip in the Sunday paper. I used to always look for Wednesdays is when the Big Five sale paper came out, and I go right to the gun section and see what kind of guns they have. Always did, but newspapers and the media as it was back then was, man, they really know how to build the hype for stuff.
Right. Well, there's a thing that scarcity builds value, right? Like diamonds are more scarce, gold is more scarce, so it has value. So when you get a movie like this and you see Young Guns there, you see the name of the stars and maybe a blurb from some great Wild West action, Tony James, New York Times, like that's all you see. You have to like make up the rest in your head. And the thing about your imagination is it's emotionally perfect. You don't have a low budget in your feelings and your imagination. The feelings aren't crappy, they're pure. So when you imagine things, they're really good. You imagine it cool. And the anticipation and the wonder. The one I remember the most looking at was Monster Squad. I looked at it for like 3 weeks. I finally watched it like 3 years ago, and I fucking hated it. I thought it was so bad. And I am like a fanatic for the Creature from the Black Lagoon. I wrote an email to the man that played him when I was in college, and he wrote me back, and I did drawings of him. And I wanted to see it because of the creature, and I hate that. Oh, that movie was such a letdown. It was like Goonies if they didn't have a good plot or something. Ugh.
Coming from somebody who saw it as a kid, I thought it was good, but I watch it now. My son likes it. My son loves it. But as a near like 38, 39, 40 or whatever I was when I saw it, I think maybe I'm making this up, but I was watching it like, I probably would have liked this as a kid, but I can't stand it. It's awful. I mean, it's so stupid. Like you got the guy, I'm a werewolf. Kill me, come on, put me, kill me. I'm gonna kill people. They don't even lock him up. And like all this, it was just horrible from an adult's point of view. And I think this is before they started making children's movies and stuff, palpable for parents. It was just for the kids. As a kid, this movie was awesome. Watching it now, it's dog shit.
Right. Oh, super chat. Double Brewski again. Thank you very much, friend. How about a double impact Army of Darkness? Evil Dead. Oh, I love Army of Darkness. What a
Army of Darkness is the shit. This is my boomstick.
Right.
I'm down for
Little
that.
Goody Two Shoes. Little Goody Two Shoes. Love that movie.
Oh man.
Okay. Well, we are 2 minutes into this movie.
Yeah.
So we go to not McMurdo Base. I'm going to call it McMurdo Base. I declare that officially now. We go inside McMurdo Base. We meet Wilfred Brimley and friends, and then we are introduced to Mac.
Yeah. Look at that.
Look at this, ladies. Come on, ladies. You know what this is about. Look at those eyes.
Look at that face mane. He has a face mane and a regular mane.
Right. And King of the Jungle with that mane over here.
There's a scene where he's a lot of if you like flamethrowers and flares, you are going to need a change of pants with this movie. But there's a scene where he has a flare, and the color of the flare, the red flare, the blue background, it cast this weird kind of color on his face, and it looked awesome. Again, we always get into the color, the color spectrum and stuff in these movies. A lot of blue, a lot of red with the flares.
Yeah, those flares end up looking amazing. Now, guys, you didn't know this, but I remember hearing this as a kid. Someone said, if you combine Mel Gibson's hair with this beard here, it would impregnate at least half the women in America to look upon its glory. So
right before the earth exploded, it can't.
You're right. These guys are the kings of lettuce. These guys.
The world cannot handle those two follicles, those two follicle empires combining.
Right. If they have daughters, these guys, and their daughters marry like sons, like they intermarry, they'll be unstoppable hair. Sean, if you had this head of hair and that beard, how many kids would you have?
Oh my God, it'd be countless.
He's like, what?
I would build nations.
Just
why do you think India has over 1 billion people, dude?
Listen, guys, if there's one thing that India has not completely bothered to figure out, it's been contraception. Everything else they've got down. Like people are funny. They see Indians and they're like going, oh, how are you doing today? So welcome. Blah, blah, blah. Also, authors of the Kama Sutra. So let's be clear. There's a reason. There's 1.85 billion of Indians.
And counting.
Yeah. Largest population.
I heard this. I heard this from. I heard this somewhere else, but no is saying it too. The last words of Walt Disney on his deathbed were Kurt Russell. I've heard that that's actually.
I believe it. I think if you put Mel Gibson's hair with that beard, all you would hear is. That's all you're gonna hear, because that's people around you spitting your hair out of their face and their mouth. Because that shit would it would create its own wind to blow it and make it look majestic. It would throw off the whole ecosystem. We couldn't.
If you had the beard and then that lettuce like Gibson, I think the government would make you carry like a special ID or permit with you.
You would have to. You would have to. And you'd be on a constant apology tour for all the women packing their belongings and walking out on their husbands.
Right.
I'll see you and raise you. Now you give this creature we're building. Why, I don't know. We're talking about the thing, and we're actually doing what the thing does to people, merging people together.
Right.
You give him the voice of Keith David. Give him the voice of Keith David.
Oh.
It's over.
Oh, don't do that. Don't do that. The panties will evaporate. A young Keith David?
Yep.
Damn it. That was a beautiful thing. The casting worked on many different levels. Everybody had their job.
I mean, what would that sound like? I'm afraid this bra strap won't come off. I'll have to tear it. You know, like what would Keith David be?
Oh, my goodness.
Let's see. The actual Walt Disney lore is he was so upset that Kurt was growing up, he didn't want him to leave the Disney camp, so he was retooling movies for 20-something starring Kurt.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I guess they had a father-son thing, sort of, because Kurt had been in a lot of movies as a youngster for him.
Sure did.
So,
and he was he was a handsome young man back then.
Right? Yeah. We're into it, guys. We are way into it. We will leave the Martin Riggs discussion with this 4-run grand slam. Let's see, where did it go? Oh, by ID Crisis. This hair is registered as a lethal weapon.
Agreed.
You got to get all the gravel. A lethal weapon. You know,
summer. The hair is there.
When it comes to getting movies done, man, they call him Jericho Greenlight. Greenlight this. We've got Jericho Green in the house.
And then like the bumper, like the trailer is don't touch the hair. Maybe the hair will touch you.
This summer, Kurt Russell and Mel Gibson, don't touch the dew.
And next summer, your wife is having his baby.
For sure.
It's triplets, and those kids are going to come out like this.
It's a separate birth.
Yeah.
Just the kid and then the damn hair.
It's like the kid, the placenta, then the hair comes out.
All right, Doc, out of here. Hairstylist, get in here and get this, deliver this hair.
Oh, you got Paul Mitchell delivering babies over here. So they're like on a bus and she's having a baby. Is there a doctor here? And then like they boil some water like in a TV show, and then they got to get some Vidal Sassoon or something like that.
Yeah.
Just take care of this hair. So nurse, bring me the Aquanet. Anyway, so we run into Mac. the steely-eyed bearded one.
His name's
And-
Mac. Come
right.
on. How
And
do
he's-
ladies
look at
keep their
this.
panties on? Jeez,
Right.
Louise.
And he's playing chess on what looks like a Commodore 64 or a
Yes.
PET or a Apple II, I guess.
And he's a sore
Yep.
loser. Is that
Right.
safe to say?
Yeah, he loses and then dumps his whiskey or whatever into like the hard
Inside the
drive.
machine. He opens like this little, I don't know, little mailbox for the innards of the computer and just throws his vodka or his whiskey on the rocks inside the computer, and it sparks and smokes and fucking dies.
Yeah, you could totally blow up your computers in the Antarctic. You just get another one at the store, right?
That's what I was just
Go
thinking.
just
Thank God they're
bundle
not
up.
stairs up here.
bundle up and go around the corner and get a new one. Dude, look, man, you Kurt Russell, the hair, the eyes, you don't got time to worry about electronics. It
Right.
pissed me off, so I throw whiskey in it. Case closed.
Yep.
Yeah, and we'll get to it later, but I have a quibble with the computers in this movie. You know, I don't know how realistic a little bit of this computing is going on here on these this C64 with 16 kilobytes of ROM or whatever it is.
I believe
Yeah.
all of the computer work in this movie. I
Right.
believe every
Yeah.
bit of it.
Zoom enhance.
Right, it's a little bit of that. You know what the weirdest thing is though? Now with the AI that does graphics,
Yeah,
you
they can do
actually can tell the AI to make up what something looks like and it can approximate. But CSI was lying to us on television for years.
Yes.
Fuckers. And this dog, can we say the dog might need a nod for some kind of acting award? Because the dog, it's when it gets to the place, like it does acting too. Like just the staring, it'll be kind of like mid-step, it'll just stop and stare. I mean, the dog was no bullshit. I don't know if this has ever been said, but the dog played its role. I mean, it did a good job.
Right. Yeah. So the Norwegian sharpshooters are still chasing this dog to McMurdo.
Not very sharp.
And then Matt comes out of his little hut. He's got a little hut on the top of a tower where he drinks booze and loses at chess to a computer.
Mhm.
He comes
What do you
out
call
with all the ruckus. And
he called it
Yeah.
his shed or his shack or something like that. He had a name for it. But yeah, what's all the high-powered rifle noise out here?
Right.
Yeah.
So the dudes come out and they don't know the guys in the helicopter, but I do think they know they're Norwegians because I guess there's another base, 100 miles away or some other researchers.
Mhm.
And they're kind of wondering what the hell's going on. And that helicopter ends up getting crashing and blowing up, right?
No, they have for some reason a crate of grenades, like
that's
24 pack of grenades. And so since he can't cut it with the gun, he starts dropping the grenades out of the helicopter to blow the dog up. That didn't work.
Right.
And then they land and he continues his pursuit. Like he is literally gunning for this dog.
Yeah.
To the point where he shoots into the crowd of people. They land. He grabs a grenade. He goes to throw it. It slips out of his hand behind him. Now, why the dumbass pilot didn't run with him? Because he tells him in Norwegian, I imagine, run, grenade. The guy runs over, starts digging through the snow to find the grenade and throw it further away, I guess. It's a wrap for him and the helicopter.
Yeah.
They both blow up, and the dog runs up and immediately right here starts licking the guy in the face. He's like, almost like, save me, save me. And from what they can see, there's a crazy guy whose helicopter just blew up, and he's chasing after this dog, shooting it.
Right.
That's it.
And you don't say it's faded and has to go to sleep now. Well, sweet dreams. There you go.
Peace out.
I do like Nana saying that Knowles, he's the chef on the McMurdo base. He says maybe we're at war with Norway because they come in shooting.
That's how it's going to kick off. The Great Norwegian War is going to kick off in a.
The Norwegian commander's like, we will attack the 7 scientists in the Arctic. The president will never see it coming.
Yeah.
Then we will force their surrender.
We will attack the scientists at the science station in Antarctica.
Can you
Well, if I
imagine?
remade this movie, I will tell you, if someone forced me at Norwegian gunpoint, actually, I wouldn't do a thing. But if I was,
Because
if
it wouldn't hit
somebody-
you.
you anyway.
I know, they'd be like, "We got you point blank." I got a 50-50 shot. But this is the thing, right? When I look at this, I would have Sam Jackson in it, and as they ran up the Norwegians, I'd have him say, "English, motherfucker,
Do you speak it?
Just the best. Other than that, the movie's perfect.
Because
Right.
he was
The
yelling.
dog
He was-
is. We're gonna learn a lot about that dog.
Yeah,
Right.
he's running and after the dog, and he's yelling in Norwegian, probably telling him, "Get away from it. It's it's not safe," or something like that. But they don't speak Norwegian, and so he's shooting at the dog, ends up grazing one of these guys in the leg, and then he runs into some problems.
Can you imagine if this movie was made today and had that like Marvel movie dialogue? Knowles wouldn't have said maybe we're Norway. He would have been like, "Hey man, I don't speak no Norwegian," like so all the weirdos could laugh at his accent or whatever. Oh, it would have been cringe as hell.
Oh, dude, if this movie was made today, this is the thing about it, and you're seeing this. This is a convention that I think gets a little overused, but in this, I don't mind it because I think it's quite brilliant. Where you see the start of this movie and you see these last two characters chasing, dare I say, this dog, this thing, and it's basically a bookend of the end of this movie. Do you know what I mean? Like you're seeing the end of their story, and now you're learning how you get here the rest of the flick, which is quite brilliant.
Yeah, you're right. You are right. It's like, what do we call it in art when you do like kind of like a motif and it kind of repeats on the tile, and then the next tile has the same pattern, but then they join when you stick them next to each other. They do it in like video game graphics and stuff on old video games. You know what I'm saying? It'll line up.
I do.
On the left and the right. And you're right. The very beginning of this movie is a bookend to the end of it. That's not a spoiler though, kids. Stick around.
God,
yeah, much more to it than that, guys.
Right.
Much more to it than
so
that.
Anyway, these two geniuses get their helicopter and themselves, one of them blown up. So that's the end of him. He went to the big Norway in the sky. And I do like the snow blind goggles. I don't know what those are called, like specifically the goggles they use to keep from frying their eyeballs. But it's a badass look. It really is.
It is.
And he shoots at that dog and hits that dude in the thigh because he has to kill this dog. You know what I mean? And so then the boss, he's the commander of McMurdo Station. He blasts him with a revolver from 100 yards away. Pretty good shot. Laces it right in the eyeball.
Right through the eye.
Right. He's like, And if it was a Marvel movie, like if this was Iron Man 7, he'd be like, I guess you didn't see that coming.
Nailed it.
Yeah. No, he would have fired, missed, and then the woman in charge would have said, "Give me that."
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And then she would have shot it and then shoved it back in his chest. That's how it's done.
Oh. And he would have been like, "Thank you, mistress."
And then he'd walk in there. He'd sheepishly walk in her office a few minutes later and apologize.
Right.
Being such a chauvinist dick, even though she was.
Right. It's a chauvinist thing to do, to miss a shot. Clearly.
It is. You're clearly mansplaining. This guy pissed me off from the jump.
Now, how come? Because he's the dog guy.
Yeah.
They have a bunch of huskies on this base. It's unclear to me why. I've never been to the Arctic that often to do research. But he's the ranch hand that is in charge of the health and safety of these animals. So he's very close to them. Why'd he piss you off, though?
Just when shit started getting crazy, the way he was acting. No, don't.
It reminded me a little bit of the fat guy with man boobs that was the trainer for the Rancor in Return of the Jedi.
Yep.
You know? That guy cries when Luke Skywalker kills the Rancor. This guy.
Exactly. Yeah, one of those.
It's Kevin from The Office.
Dahmer's mother.
You know?
And my boy. No, sorry. Your boy's got to go down.
He's got to pay. Yeah, he wasn't my favorite.
No, let's see. Okay, so things calm down. They shot that guy through the eye. That's one Norwegian down.
Boom.
And they blew up the other one in the helicopter. No more Norwegians, but we do have a new dog.
Thankfully.
Right.
The only good Norwegian. Never mind. Sorry.
Somewhere someone's watching this and going, "This is how we start the war." Norwegians.
You guys are gonna learn about my Norwegian hate in this. Live.
Right. And then of course, then on screen, a bunch of Norwegian women show up, and he's like, "I'm good, we're fine. Let's watch this beef."
Yeah, let me. I'm gonna image search Norwegian women.
See, and of course they got a doctor there. And another reason I like these kind of movies is because everybody has their specialty. This is like when there's a SEAL team or something. That's the comms guy. That's the weapons guy. That's the medic. So it kind of has that thing. Everybody has their role, and they're experts in it. And I like to, no matter what it is, I like to see people good at what they do. You could be the world's best, floor sweeper, and I'll sit there all day and watch this person sweep a floor. I like to see people good at what they do, and they must, because this is it, guys. We're in the Arctic. It's us or we die. And I love it.
You heard about that woman, right? The woman who was in the Arctic. She was on a research station. She felt a lump in her breast, looked at it, and learned she had breast cancer. And she performed surgery on herself because she wasn't getting out of there until the next thing. And I go, so these are tough people. And if someone wants to know the thing, is curious what the thing that drives me the most crazy about culture today, it is the war on, in narrative, in our fiction, the war on competency. The war on, they show idiots, they show stupid people, and they try to convince you should root for them and think they're great. They show mentally, disturbed people who by all intents are villains and, completely out of their minds. And they say, you should admire this person. And it's a pernicious thing that I don't think people realize, that you see that we depend on each other. The people who carry the most weight in any group are the most competent people. And you even see it among this group of very competent people, that they look to the person that they can trust. The only concern is, has this person, can I trust that this person is still what they say they are? But they know there is some order. And nobody doubts, the other person's mettle. They just doubt their motivation. And that's impressive.
Mm-hmm. No, I think you both nailing it, Jericho. You saying you like everyone has their specialty and they know their role. And then Sean, you saying that everyone respects those roles. And that is a very male thing. And the cast is entirely male in this movie. Mm-hmm. And men, when we're in just groups of men, this is what we gravitate to. We gravitate toward meritocracy and competency. And I know I better be able to trust you when I turn my back around. You know what I mean? That you know how to do your thing. So
you have to trust, because none of those guys are going to be stitching people up. None of those guys are going to be working the computers. Everybody can't do that. Everybody has their specialty, and trust is paramount. We have to be able to trust each other to do their jobs, because these are the only jobs we know how to do. This is my specialty. We don't have time to train.
Think about this when it comes to men and our culture, as just forget women for a minute, when we're in groups of men and the way we decide things. In our law, and I don't think I'm wrong about this, if someone messes with kids or whatever, I'm not going to say too much, we put them in prison. We all hate them. We put them in prison. But if someone is a traitor to the country, we kill them. Mm-hmm. We hang them, right? That's one of the punishments for treason. Is the death penalty. Now think about that for a minute. Like, if you can't trust your guy on your team, you're done. That these high trust societies, these high trust groups, this is the epitome of how masculine culture works together. I like this here from Bane Mahler. My favorite part of this film is trying to figure out how everyone gets affected and by who. Well, if they would have just worn masks, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or two. Two and a face shield.
Some lady down the street from me, she had the liberal flags in front of her house and this and that. And, and then she comes out of her house, Southern California, 70 degrees, blue skies, alone, wearing a mask, walking outside on the sidewalk. So,
did you ask her to volunteer for a hysterectomy? Because
my wife and I looked.
We don't need her reproducing.
My wife and I looked at each other, and I just told her, I know.
All I have to say, though, is about this is I thought that what people should do, as if I was the leader in the situation, what I would say to them is, if any of you get infected by this, what I'm calling affectionately this thing, just raise your hand and let us know so we don't have to stress about it.
Right.
And to me, that would be I don't understand why they didn't think of that. You know what I'm saying?
We'll set you on fire and be done with it. There we go. Look at that push broom.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. They're going to bring me up a commercial.
What is wrong with that mustache?
Dude, see, that's him without it. I was like, but like I said, the voice, I knew this is Wilford Brimley, and then I looked it up. But had he had his mustache on, I'd know for damn sure. When you see a man with a mustache like that, you better drop what you're doing and show it the respect that it deserves. Take your hat off.
Right. This is all
beautiful.
You will say yes, sir, to this guy a lot.
Yep.
So let's get a little 30 seconds of Gabe's childhood in elementary school. Wilford Brimley for Quaker Oats.
When I was a kid and got a hold of a nickel, I thought I was rich. I didn't turn on my nose at pennies either. Today, some folks won't even bend to pick them up. Well, here's a bowl of steaming Quaker oatmeal. And I can't think of a healthier way to start the day. Cost you 1 nickel and 4 pennies. So if you can't be bothered with nickels and pennies, throw them in a jar. Start an oatmeal fund. Quaker Oats. It's the right thing to do. Not too expensive.
I love that man. I love it.
Quaker Oats. It's the right thing to do. So that's what they were talking. When we get to this scene, that's what he's telling this guy. For 4 pennies, you can get some Quaker Oats.
Let me tell you something about this
Son,
coffee.
it's the right thing to do. I remember seeing that as a little kid. I didn't know who Wilford Brimley was. So I was like 8 years old. That commercial was on TV. And I was kind of obsessed with why this old man was so serious about oatmeal. Like, this was life or death, this oatmeal. Like, do you know what this means?
But you have to think that someone in his age group, fiber is crucial. And I'll tell you one thing for sure, after you watch that commercial, you wanted a bowl of damn oatmeal.
Right.
For sure. Maybe I think what he did was he took the oatmeal and rubbed it on his mustache. That's how it got so full.
Right.
But a little known fact is everybody, at first it was funny, but everybody in the cast got pissed off because every time they turned around, there was a bowl of oatmeal. Like they would sit down like, oh, Wilford. Oh. Like you'd have bowls of oatmeal everywhere. You go to put your hand down, there's a bowl of oatmeal there. So people really didn't like it. It's a little known fact about the behind the scenes of the thing.
Yeah. You'd say, throw away that oatmeal, traitor.
You throw away that oatmeal, I will set you on fire with this fucking blowtorch.
I like oatmeal, but I gotta make it unhealthy to make it delicious. You gotta put all the brown sugar or fruit or just throw all kinds of sweet stuff in there.
It's like me with grits, man.
Because if not, it'll taste like oatmeal.
Right. It's like spackle. Like spackle for your walls. So anyway, we're getting introduced to the boys at the boys club. We got Wilford Brimley. We got the radio man here. He does their long distance communication. He's got quite a nice afro, this guy. And we got the Norwegian who I guess he didn't see that bullet coming. Yeah. He's like, you should have seen the other guy. But no. But no, this guy, he was a Norwegian sharpshooter. So I guess he got sharp shot. Then we got Knowles, kind of our wisecracking. He seems to be the chef. We catch him in the kitchen a few times.
Blasting his music.
He's a bit of a character. He has a few witty lines and stuff. So we start to learn the personality of these guys a little bit. You know what I mean? So and then Mac and the doctor, right? They're gonna go back to the Norwegian base. And like, what were those guys doing here? Why did they come to our base from their base? Why did they come to McMurdo Station? And what's going on there? So they go over to the base, and you see it. It's burned, and because it's open now to the elements, it's also frozen on the inside with icicles everywhere, and there ain't nobody around. And go ahead.
I think one more thing they wanted to know was why did they send the worst shot in the world in that helicopter?
Right.
That had to be one of their questions.
Right. Yeah. Right. And they're wandering through this frozen base now, and everything is like destroyed, ice everywhere, and it's got a little haunted house vibe going because it's dark, but there's shafts of light going, and it's silent and stuff, and they're wandering through. And I was waiting for a big jump scare or something, but we didn't get one. But we got lots of blood and weird stuff, and then they come upon this twisted wretch of like there's body parts and a pile of people. They found this guy dead, but outside they find like a mass of whatever.
But
you know,
I thought that this guy, he cut his own throat to keep from turning into something. Right. I guess to kill himself before it took him over, because I mean, you know, once it does take you over, you ain't gonna do that. And
he did himself in. Yeah,
he did himself in with the old straight razor. But yeah, I didn't. I'm kind of glad there weren't any jump scares because that's kind of cheesy. Like you said, you expected it, and but they didn't. No jump scares. But yeah, you could see that the alien did a number on that facility. I mean, there's big, huge holes in the roof and on the side of the building and shit. And then, like you said, outside there's this smoldering pile of twisted, you know, half turned, half alien human. I don't know, gobbledygook.
Here's one from the real Sean Cromwell. Spoiler: the Norwegian base and the McMurdo Station were the same set, so they must have filmed this at the end, like burn down their set and then film it. You know what I mean? It wouldn't make sense the other way, guys, to burn it and then fix it and film the other way.
All right, rebuild it, then film it.
I mean, if you're throwing around money, I guess you could do it that way, you know.
And they also had the exact same helicopter. My son even pointed that out. Dad, it's the same helicopter. I was like, well, they have the same exact helicopter, but they don't know each other at all. Weird. I don't know. But same everything.
The great Antoine Dennison, thank you. He's a regular around here. This is one of the greatest horror films ever. I was expecting it to be really scary, and to me it wasn't, maybe because I'm a full grown ass man. I like to say it that way instead of a grown ass man. I'm a grown ass man. That's my new twist on that.
It's all the inflection in the voice.
Right. I like to put a comma in mine. I'm a grown ass man. That's how I like to say it. Because I like to be clear. I like to be clear about things. Let's just say if I'm riding on a train, I'm gonna go to the caboose.
Yeah.
Let's
Right.
Well.
But then they come across this broken jacuzzi. No, it's a block of ice. There's blood, there's icicles. And one thing, this is such a good movie for special effects. I shouldn't say it. But like I'm wiggling the mouse. I think it was that icicle or that one. It was wiggling in the shot. And it was distracting me because I know it's just like plastic or whatever. And it was just like teetering like this. And I couldn't stop looking at it. I hate when I do that. I hate when I notice. I hate when I notice something in a movie and it takes me out of it. I'm like, stop looking at it.
But yeah, icicles don't flow in the breeze like that.
Right. But they find this big block of ice, and obviously something was in it. And they've been finding blood. They've been finding dead people. So let's put this big algebra problem together, Shanth. What do you think's going on? Dead people, blood, a block of ice that looks like it had something in it before.
Well, they probably were preparing, for a captain's party. They were making bouillabaisse.
The
measurement I can't speak to. And
how many gallons of bouillabaisse could you fit? How many gallons could Ryback fit in there if Ryback's showing up?
As they were making it, a horrifying Gary Busey emerged. They dug some shit up and something came out of that ice, period.
All right.
Yep.
Makes sense to me.
Pretty much. And I've seen the remake, the one from 2011, and it's pretty true to it so far. But a lot of this they filmed in Alaska. So a lot of those outdoor scenes where they're all bundled up and he has some like ice in his beard. And a lot of that was real. That must have been a very uncomfortable shoot to be, because I mean, that wind's howling. Everything's frozen. You got to bundle up, completely to step outside. So I'm sure I was wondering if there's like maybe some footage, some interviews, these guys talking about the conditions on the set, because that had to be fucking brutal. Some of it, obviously, like this one with the flowing icicles, was done at Universal Studios, I think. But a lot of it was in the real elements, the snow and the wind and all that shit.
Wow.
Yep.
Man, those guys are really doing it. A lot of tough dudes.
Hey, man.
I love this question from Fat Samurai. Imagine what Carpenter could have done with an even bigger budget back then. As a creative myself, there is a law of diminishing returns with time and budget. A lot of artists who will remain nameless, they will take as much time on a deadline as you give them. So if you tell them you need it in 3 days, they will take 3 days and 1 more hour. If you tell them you want it in 3 months, it'll magically take 3 months and 1 more hour. If you tell them you want it in 5 hours, somehow they'll have it done. So more money, more time and all that, it'll be better. And then it'll hit a point where that will actually hurt it, I believe. I'm just guessing. But I think if you just give people too many choices, then they'll have that paralysis through analysis. So like the FOMO of Netflix, the thing we talked about earlier. But it is very interesting. Thank you for that comment.
And I think that there's let me see if I can get the quote. But it was there was this in the Count of Monte Cristo, there was this quote, if I recall, correctly in terms of it, but he talked about how, what would I have been in life, if I hadn't been imprisoned wrongfully, if I hadn't had to use my brains and all of these things to exact this very particular type of revenge. And he says, maybe nothing, but he said out of that kind of kinetic energy came electricity, or out of that came, lightning. I'm getting this completely wrong, but through that illumination. And I think that that's one of those things to where there's this crucible aspect to the creation of artwork. There's this fire, there's this pressure, there's this thing that happens. And oftentimes the circumstances drive the art as much as, the things that you can't control drive it as much as the things you can control. And that's why you get these great works, I think, back then,
Right. Yeah, I do think being boxed in on budget and time and whatever, it makes you get creative. You're right, dude. Necessity is the mother of invention. I love this comment here. Thank you. I love the chat. You were so good. If you're having fun, if you love joining us every Wednesday, make sure you're subscribed and hit the like and share this out. The link to subscribe to Jericho's channel is in the description. The link to buy my amazing comic, Truth, Justice, American Way, is in the description. And of course, Shanthan Jetty's horror pulp adventure. If you like Cthulhu and Conan the Barbarian having a baby, Shanta's doing a fully painted comic of that. Check that out, and it's criminally underfunded. You're gonna love this thing if you buy it. So please check out Nosferatu. But I love the chat being so intelligent.
One thing, Gabe. Yes. One thing. Yes. I just want everybody, if you've purchased both Shant's book and Gabe's, just put your hand in the air.
Okay. Yeah. Put a 1 in the chat or something. Like,
oh, I'm sorry. That's me. I have them both. Thank you. I just wanted to.
That's right. That's right.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
No problem.
But I do love how insightful and how well versed in this stuff our chat is. They're so smart and funny. ID Crisis with some real inside baseball. John Carpenter told the SFX guys to create whatever was under your bed. Imagine having that kind of freedom as a creator. Yes, that's what you dream for as an artist.
And really you can see those familiar shapes: the head, the torso, the hips, the waist, and everything. But when you get a better look at it, it's not quite that. It's a lot of different. It's a gumbo of parts.
Mm-hmm.
Right, absolutely, yeah. So after they find the broken bouillabaisse jacuzzi, they do find this pile. They find, hey, it's a pile of bouillabaisse right here.
Hey, what's that thing? What's that thing smoking over there? Put in the bouillabaisse.
Is that bouillabaisse I smell?
This fucking aliens covered in bouillabaisse.
Who says you can't get a free lunch around here? Hey, I got that. I got my here right. I've been trying to copy your here. I got that time. So they find this blob of whatever, and they take it back to McMurdo to go have a look-see at this thing. Mm-hmm. This thing is worse than, is his name Quato from Total Recall?
Yeah, the thing that was growing out of him. Oh. That's what I said. That's what I call that thing on John Fetterman's neck today. But anyway, this is reminiscent of Blade when they get what's that dude's name? He kept chopping him up.
Well, in real life, it's Donald Logue. I don't know the character's name, but
his
he's the
character.
Irish,
he got torched. Same thing. They take him to the autopsy room, peel open that body bag, and then you get all these aromas, which Wilford Brimley was having an issue with. Blair, his character name is Blair. He was having a tough time with the smell.
Right. Jared Weaver for $5. Thank you so much, Jared. Shanthan Jetty art, dude. Count of Monte Cristo is an amazing literary masterpiece. Everyone should watch the Jesus and Superman version, if not read it. I don't know what that is. The Jesus and Superman version. I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's it's one of my favorite books, audio books. It was a big influence on how I thought about the character of Nosferatu is the Count of Monte Cristo. If you haven't,
I know what that is. I didn't know what the second thing he mentioned.
Oh, sure, but no, I wasn't. I meant just in general for people who are curious and wondering sort of what we're talking about. That you look at those kinds of stories, and you see it's an interesting story about what revenge does to you in the same way that what Crime and Punishment does. With what committing a heinous act does. Even if you get away with it. And, what we love to talk about are these big stories. This is the thing that gets me, funny enough, about the movie The Thing. We think of ourselves, like, even though we appreciate that we're biology, when we look at another human being, it doesn't take but a nudge of familiar forms to reduce us to seeing purely our biology. And that was the real horror of what we're seeing right here. Because a regular human corpse, you can still imagine how that went back together. In this case, there's no going back together for this thing. And you start to see the frailty and the agony in this particular image. And it sort of is a confrontation with your mortality. That's unbelievable to me.
And this reminds me, when I saw this, it reminded me of the end of Terminator 2, when the liquid Terminator falls in the liquid metal, and he's melting and turning into all those characters that he impersonated throughout the movie. That's what made me think of it. And this kind of stuff right here, this stands the test of time because it doesn't have to move, so you don't have to see, how bad the special effects were back then. This is just sitting still. So those skills, these kind of skills, can span time. It doesn't matter if this is 30 years ago or 50 years ago. That kind of talent is going to shine through. That shit looks awesome. Right.
Oh, you know what? In June, this movie would be 40 years old because 82 to 22. Yeah, that would do it. So Jared Weaver for $5, not to derail the chat. Oh, but please derail. But to clarify, the
hard.
2002 Count of Monte Cristo movie has Jim
Yes.
Caviezel and Henry
I should have
Cavill.
got that.
Oh.
Yes.
I thought you
and
meant it was
Caviezel
a
plays
movie.
the Count of Monte Cristo ably. He's fantastic.
I got you. Yeah, the absolute torment on the face.
Yeah.
It's painful. That transformation is painful.
Wilford Brimley's reaction to the stank,
Mhm.
to the disgusting stank coming out of this. So,
That's got to smell horrible. Some burnt foreign creature, outer space thing.
It's got that space funk going on.
You're not having dinner after that.
Nobody can fight the space funk.
Hey, I just got here from Alpha Centauri. I didn't have time to shower.
Hey, what do you want from me? I'm in the freaking galaxy over here.
Hey, it was a 2 billion light year journey. What would you do? So the dog, what is up with the dog? It's like he knows something, right? I guess dogs are that way, right? They're kind of tuned to react.
Well, he knows something. He knows something. He's looking at that basically what a relative to him or something.
Right.
Like that's his species. That's him. That's his people. And he sees them up there. And I don't know if that dog's thinking, are they going to figure out it's me? Or is he waiting, trying to figure out which one of these fuckers he wants to get next? But like I said, the dog is doing its thing. I know there's somebody off camera keeping its attention and shit.
Right.
But that part where it's under the table looking up, like, do they know it's me? And this part right here, when that thing's on the table, he's just, it's almost like he's, the lights are on, but nobody's home. Like he's fixated on it. And and there's another part where the dog comes out of a room and at the end of the hallway. And it opens the door and shit by itself and comes, that dog did its thing too. And I would say if this was based on 12 Angry Men, I would say the 13th Angry Man is that damn weather.
Right.
Because that weather is a big part of this movie too, since they have to go outside, so much. So the weather's really working against them too.
The weather is another villain in this movie. I thought it was a weird choice when the dog and Wilford Brimley were sharing that bowl of oatmeal. I thought that was very strange, but
strange choice. And he was saying to the dog, I'd find a nickel. No, but look, this is the thing about it. I remember the second time I watched it, I actually thought about what was the dog thinking here in all seriousness, and I wondered if the dog was thinking, interesting, these humans are making the same mistakes.
Yeah.
You get what I mean?
Rubbing his little paws together.
That's the dark aspect of it, because when you understand this thing and how good it is at getting what it needs to get done, it's just taking in the data. And I think that's when you watch it the second time, this is one of those movies that, and 12 Angry Men is the same way. Hell, I'd even say Psycho. A good movie cannot be spoiled. You could know what's going to happen, and you watch it and you go, dang, like, I don't care. The surprises in it are more inevitable. And the second time you watch it, you could almost applaud the filmmaker for their, ability.
It's not about the surprise. It's about the execution of that concept. FKA 322 for $5. Thank you very much. Have any of you ever seen the 50s version, The Thing from Another World? I've never seen that.
I've not yet, and I need to.
Dark Horse Comics founder Mike Richardson, he owned a comic book store at first, and it was called Things from Another World. And if you go, I think he had an old website called that. I could be getting this wrong, but someone told me that Things from Another World, the comic book store, there's one in Los Angeles, and there's some in different places now. And they have a big website where they sell comics. That was Mike Richardson, the Dark Horse guy, that he owned that originally or something. So
and it's still online.
Yeah,
I didn't think it was weird that Wilford Brimley was sharing a bowl of oatmeal with the dog. I thought it was weird that he was on the floor eating it out of the bowl with the dog.
Right, the dog bowl.
That part.
Right, but weird. Hey, that dog tried to bully Wilfred away from it, and that's Wilfred's bowl. Nobody eats out of his dog bowl.
Yeah, that dog was showing food aggression.
Right,
the dog was showing food aggression, and Wilford Brimley had to teach him that he's the pack leader. That's right.
Careful, Wilford will bite you, dog. Be careful.
Yeah. And if he don't bite you, that mustache will.
What? I still don't know. As a kid, he's like, "Oh, Quaker Oats, it's the right thing to do." Like what? No, the right thing to do is like help your alcoholic brother. Like, what are you talking about?
Let him wallow. Let him wallow in his poor decision making. You need to get in that kitchen and crank up a fucking pot full of these oats. That's what you need to do. That's the right thing to do. Whatever he said, it made you want to buy the oatmeal. So salute to you, sir, and your facial hair. Yeah, that's another thing. He's finding the guts in this blob. Like they really caught it in the middle. This thing, they really caught it in the middle of its transformation. Oh, so weird.
Oof. Yeah, he pulled, what does he like say? Oh, the heart looks normal or whatever. He's like pulling parts out, and they're human parts out of this amalgamated pile of alien whatever.
Oh, and what was he a doctor too? I thought the other guy was just a medic. But Blair, Wilford Brimley, he's a doctor too.
Are these Wilford's hands? Are these the hands of a lover of oatmeal?
Yes.
I think he was just a smart guy. I think he was a computer scientist guy. Maybe they never established he was a medical doctor.
Huh. Let the computer guy do the autopsy.
Right. Hey, he's smart. He knows how to work them computers.
Hey, you got good.
Doesn't run Linux.
You read books. Start rooting around in that damn alien pulling shit out. It makes sense to me, man. You don't question when somebody walks up to you with a mustache like that. You just hand over the tools and get the fuck out of it.
Well, let's also state that a part of and this is the genius of his casting. That the aspect of him in this is that
I hope that's true.
Is able to do a lot of different things, and he's
hold on, Sean. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Is there truth to Jericho? Is there truth to this?
I'm looking that shit up right now because I hope it is.
He's like, eat them grits. It's the right thing to do. He said, Wilford Brimley said, eat them grits. It's the right thing to do, player.
No, all he said was eat that shit. That's what it was.
Yeah,
that was the campaign. Wilford Brimley grits.
I'm sorry, Sean. I stepped on what you're saying. Please.
No, that's fine. No, I was going to say, I think they're setting up Brimley as this guy who is really smart. He's sort of the brains of the outfit. He's an older gentleman, in terms of his look. He's 48 in this, but he's got, that sort of grandfatherly look, although without the mustache, it's terrifying. Oh yeah. Antoine's saying it's a joke. Don't worry.
Sadly, it's not true.
Yeah, damn it. We're gonna make that video. By the way, I'm gonna have Jericho do the voice because I'm convinced there's a Brimley in there somewhere. But
it may not be true, but it will be.
Quaker
Grit. It will be true.
Eat that shit.
It's so when we'll get to it, when he puts things together, his reaction is where you sort of like he realizes that they're just prolonging the inevitable,
right?
And in the end, he's right. And a problem as well. But
it's kind of like Alexander the Great and the Gordian knot. He takes the brutal but effective solution. Like King Solomon wanting to chop the baby in half is like, this is hardcore, but it will solve the problem. So we'll get to Brimley and his not so innocent Quaker Oats there. You think you know Oats. You don't know Oats, guys.
You don't know Oats.
He lulled you in with that velvet voice, but he was about more than them damn oats.
Right. So let's see. Nana has a quote from Childs here, which is the great Keith David. Now, is this quote from this scene here? I just can't believe any of this voodoo bullshit. And then Palmer, okay. Childs, it happens all the time, man. They're falling out of the skies like flies. Government knows all about it, right, Mac? So they're already theorizing this is some sort of weird alien thing because they're putting the clues together of the frozen thing and the dug up spaceship. I don't think I had a shot of that, but they went over and looked at the crash site, right? Or is that
coming? No, that's next. They go back.
Okay, they go back. Okay,
they take two trips because they find I believe they find a map or they find the resources and they go, let's go out and look at it.
Right.
And that allows for non-hilarity to ensue.
They got the tapes, 9 hours of tapes, and they're looking at them, and then they figure out what they need to do. And I would say that Samuel L. Jackson, he stole from Keith David because this is 1982. This is before we knew who Samuel L. Jackson was. Samuel L. Jackson was in Coming to America. That didn't come out till 1988, and we still didn't know who he was in that movie. So Samuel L. Jackson was nowhere on the radar. And Keith David said something along the lines of, well, how did that motherfucker get in here? I'm like, Samuel, you stole that. That is classic Samuel L. Jackson before Samuel L. Jackson. Wow. Samuel L. Jackson, you owe Keith David an apology. And
before he ever robbed McDowell's. Keith David was.
Who the fuck is this asshole? Yeah, he killed that.
Absolutely.
So then the dog handler, I don't remember his name. He's heading over to the pen where he keeps all his dogs.
We'll call him Puss.
What is it?
Puss. That's what I call him.
Puss. Okay, yeah.
Because he's a big
and the dogs are acting a little weird. They're
A little
strange.
strange.
Yeah,
Right.
like, fuck this.
They're
And,
like, that's
hold
not
on.
human. Get me out of here.
The dog staring straight ahead and slowly laying down is Oscar worthy for the handler, if nothing else. Yeah,
Right?
it's funny. We never talk about something like this because it doesn't come up often. But the acting of like the dog, the way they get it to go, and it opened the door and all that, and I don't know. I was impressed. It gave that dog, the main husky, a lot of character. I don't know. I thought it was a cool
and the
touch.
way, like I said, the way it's staring straight ahead, and like when he was they had the alien, the half alien, half person on the autopsy table or wherever that was. It was almost like it was in mid step and it stopped. Like when dogs start to crouch down when they're about to go after something. That strange as it may sound, the dog did a great job.
Right.
Yes.
Or the handler did. Sorry, the handler.
So one thing I like about this is we get going in this movie. We have the Norwegians chasing the dog. We meet the guys. We go to the spooky burned down Norwegian place. We come back. We take the blob apart, and all of a sudden, boom, the dog's face opens. And like, okay, you're in it.
Yeah.
You're in the thing. Something infected this dog. It's not really a dog. It's a blob from, Alpha Centauri. And I do love that you're, I don't know, 20 minutes into the movie, 30 minutes in the movie, and you're going. I guess I don't have Disney Plus, but I was watching a review of Werewolf by Night, and the guy said the show was like 50 minutes long, and you don't see the werewolf until 10 minutes till it's over.
Yeah.
Well, I
and
hate
it's kind of
that shit.
like, well, what am I watching this shit for? Like, the first word is werewolf. The first word is werewolf. And so I love that we got the thing and the mutating right away in this movie. I love that we got to it. So
if you love, let me just say this, guys. If you want to see a exasperated, angry review of that, I did an hour long, longer than the show, where I talked about the things that I found frustrating with it. And one of the things I said in that review that a buddy of mine who works in the industry just gave me a heads up on was the fact that they did a CGI man thing. And I'm at the point where I can spot CGI so well, especially CGI dogs. If this was done today, that dog would be CGI because they would spend the time to get the right take and make something that was incredible. And my friend tipped me off, and I have the clips of this is another video. They actually did build a full-sized practical suit, but they just decided to make it CGI to make it look more CGI, I guess. And when you see this and you go from the real dog and you have enough of it sort of a step, it's you can see the difference, but they do this smart thing where they give you enough of what you were seeing before to where that transition is believable. And I love it, man. Yeah, I cut out all the size of your reviews and it's 3 minutes. Oh my God.
Right.
Yeah. I swear.
You did just to honor the Werewolf by Night, delaying the werewolf, you did an hour rant and you didn't mention the show until 10 minutes ago in your rant. So you just
it's bad. It's bad.
He was mostly talking about Velveeta cheese for the first 40 minutes of that rant.
I
don't like it either.
Werewolf by Night plus ribs.
You look at any publication, any broadcast with Shant in it, and you better believe the first 40 minutes are going to be about nothing but Velveeta cheese.
That's right.
It's
Everybody
exactly
knows that. But
it's my blood type.
Universal donor, right?
Yeah, universal.
Hey, I can give this shit anyway.
Hey, it's sharp cheddar. I can give to anybody.
Hook me up to the cheese.
The cheese.
Right. So this thing opens up. It's great. Like, I think there's some stop motion involved. There's probably wires and stuff moving the part. It's great. The spider legs come out the top and kind of unfold like a flower. The face is a grotesque meat transformer. And then you have the way the tentacles move on the thing in this movie is so unsettling. It has that, it's like not in real time with how anything actually moves. It's that in the late 90s, early 2000s in horror movies, they would do that jerky, where they would speed up and slow down the cinematography in horror movies. And it's very unsettling. And these wiggly tentacles that come out, they do that same sort of bizarre motion.
With that sound. It's almost like the sound of like those big bugs in the South when you go outside and you just hear that
cicadas?
Constant. Yeah, exactly. It's almost a sound effect like that. And this is the second movie in a row where we have arachnid-like creatures. There must be something that taps into our psyche with multiple legs and things that move fast. Because things that are small and move fast scare us.
I don't have fear of heights or anything like that, but most of my life until probably in my mid-20s, I was afraid of spiders. Like if I saw one, I would kill it. I didn't run from it or anything like that. But if I saw a spider, this dude was dead. And I remember I made my wife laugh once, and I said, I hope spiders know that everyone hates them and they're ugly. I was younger.
Actually, Gabe, that spider could have been a female, and you're just assuming that they were all males, and that's actually
You know what I'm assuming is he's
and-
dead. He's dead when I step on him.
Fucking dead. How many legs? You're dead.
Oh,
Yeah.
what about
you see things like that? You want to kill him with a book. I'm the same way with Wilford Brimley.
right?
But you can't kill Wilford.
It's the right
Brimley.
thing to do.
Wow. He got killed by a book about oatmeal. It's weird. Very strange coincidence.
But he lived because he was feeding off of the energy from his mustache for 3 days. His mustache kept him alive for 3 days.
Right.
Right.
Super chat right
Very
here
sad.
from Pla5ush for $10. Tweeted it, but I'll say it again. Thanks
Damn
to
it.
Gabe and Trump's advice, avoided werewolf by spite and watched Curse of the Werewolf. Jack is a tortured hero, not a joke. I don't know Curse of the Werewolf.
Oh,
But
yeah,
thank
Curse
you
of
for
the
not
Werewolf.
watching Werewolf by Night.
Yeah,
thank you for
I
the $10. Very
appreciate
generous.
that tweet, by the way, and thank you for your super chat. I have to say, Hammer Horror's Curse of the Werewolf was starring, oh my God, I can't believe I'm blanking on his name, Oliver Reed, who plays Proximo in Gladiator. Do you guys remember Proximo, the guy who's like, I wasn't good, I was good because the crowd loved me.
Right,
You sold me queer giraffes. That guy, him when he's younger, plays the werewolf in Curse of the Werewolf, and it's a great Hammer horror film. Great design and brilliant.
Very cool. Someone's got the Wilford Brimley quote here. Cannibalism. It's the right thing to do and the tasty way to do it. So there you go.
Well, he was a known cannibal,
Right.
Yes, he was.
but they couldn't really market.
Hey, that's
meat,
not
so
all
it was
oatmeal in them bowls.
Hey,
You know what I'm saying?
Ew.
Anyway, the dog starts transforming. It's
big
awesome
time.
practical effects. Someone, I don't know if I brought their chat up, but he said in the chat, and I'm sorry, I'm not going to credit you because I don't remember who said it. He said he thinks the spider legs that kind of come up and out and fold, that was filmed in reverse, and that would make a lot of sense. I wonder if that's true, but it's really, it looks great, and you got to think it's 1982, you know, so this stuff stands up. It's great.
But the next scene where he's on the ground, that right there, that's where I'm like, because obviously there's something going on here. These aren't humans. So Mac, Kurt Russell with Budweiser in hand, can this dude get any more manly? The hair, the beard, the beer. He pulls the fire alarm, gets everybody, everybody rallies at the dog pen, and they got shotguns. The commander guy, the guy who put it through the Norwegian guy's eye, and they all meet there. The dogs changing and starting to latch onto the other dogs and change them. So Kurt Russell and the commander guy, boom, 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 they're letting this thing have it. And then Puss, the dog pussy guy, no, don't. He's like grabbing Kurt Russell and pulling him up. What the fuck? That's not a dog anymore. You see that fucking thing? Dude, you say one more thing, I'm gonna turn around and shoot you.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, I was confused with what are you defending this thing for? Like, you saw it, right? This ain't your dog anymore.
Give me he should have grabbed the gun and shot that damn thing. What are you telling him to stop?
And if that was the dog, or let's say hypothetically, the three of us are somewhere and you turn around and suddenly I look like that, if it's still me, my mouth is saying, kill me. I'm not like going, maybe we can save him and give him a quality of life. It's like, out of here.
Let's be honest. You would ask for
this.
You would ask for a merciful death, but I do think you would ask for some ribs first. If you're going out,
one rib.
Ribs.
Right.
All right, get him a rib. Hurry up. One rib though, Sean. Then we're
if you look at the left side of this picture, it looks like he's got 2 ribs right there. You could just chomp on that.
Take one of those.
I'd be eating my own ribs, reaching for a cigarette. You guys would go, that's how we wanted to go.
Wouldn't you hate it? Wouldn't you hate it if you were eating your own rib and it wasn't good?
You're
like, can I at least be delicious?
Come on. For my final meal. Nah, you got 1 minute to eat that rib, Sean. Then we're giving you a 12-gauge facial.
Right.
That's exactly right.
Arumafe for $4.99. Thank you very much, Arumafe. Spiders deserve death. She cries and gets the vacuum to kill them. Wow, what a way to go.
My wife does.
Arumafe, you have not killed them. What you have done is created a giant nest of spiders that are plotting for revenge deep inside your Dyson vacuum. So enjoy sleeping thinking about that.
You know what you do, Arun Faye? After you vacuum up the spider, vacuum a bunch of thumbtacks, and that ought to take care of it. You'll be fine.
Let's see. Okay, so moving on. Puss doesn't want to kill his former dogs, but alpha male of the beard. I think the beard is controlling Mac at this point.
The beard is what's talking. It's taking over the lower half of his face. That's not him talking. That's the beard.
The beard tells the rest of him, "Stand back. I'll handle it."
Shut up, brain.
I got this shit.
I got this shit. Kurt, follow my lead. Yeah, he calls a young Keith David. I'm not going to call him Keith David in this movie. It's a young Keith David every time.
It is.
He calls a young Keith David over there with a flamethrower. But for some reason, I mean, am I racist for this? But I expected the black character to get in there and start spraying fire, not stand there for a second, like in awe. And he's like, burn the damn thing. And he's like, stand it, man, you better, what are you doing? As soon as I step in this doorway, it's flame therapy for everything inside of this cage. And if you guys get too close to me, I might turn around and burn all of you too. Are you kidding?
Can we just thank the stars that this isn't, again, I'm going back to this. This is not a modern Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. Because if it was, they would have Keith David say, I ain't going in there with them dogs. That's some crazy white people shit. You know?
Exactly.
And then after he burns them, he goes, who wants a hot dog? You know, like just to make it Marvel Cinematic. You gotta love their comedy.
What's interesting as we watch these flicks, and this is the thing that makes me well, I'll say this. I'm definitely getting past the point of being angry about it and getting much more resolute in terms of this stuff. I love that face, by the way. That's the saddest.
I need that face.
That's what it looks like when doves cry. But let me when you think about it, this is the thing for me, is we just watched Aliens.
Right.
And we just watching this movie, I miss competence more than anything. I miss seeing adults acting like adults, and adults handling their stuff. And that's the interesting thing. The two things that you've pointed out, Jericho, that have you've just gone, what the hell, have been actually the three things: incompetence, inability to shoot the dog. Where's your competence? Inability to have the sense that those aren't dogs anymore. Why are you showing weakness? Danger? Inability to use the flamethrower. Those are the three things that have bothered you. That's how most of us feel.
That just pissed me off. Man.
You're right.
What do you look that thing? And the one where Puss actually said something was the dog that was all white on the bottom. It's up against the wall, and the tentacles are like wrapping around its face. Obviously, it's a wrap for your dog. It's over. Right. He shoots that one, and then he's like, no. I'm like, man, throw him in the cage too. You're getting shot now.
Yeah, we don't need you, buddy. You're a liability, friend. I like this. They were having
a meme waiting to happen. That's
right. They were having a caption contest in the chat. We got this.
The alien farted.
Right.
That's who farted.
Right. This is that right here. We got the alien booty.
He found 5 nickels. That's what just happened. He found 5 nickels. He was like, "Oh, it's so beautiful."
Oh,
he's looking at that
he's all saying diabetes.
Right? He's like, man, I sure don't like to look at that alien pooter. Whatever, man. It's a tough job, but somebody's got to do it.
No. I'm not even reading that one.
Yes, I will.
Okay.
Oh my God.
I lost it. It's moving too fast. Oh, here we go.
He's like up in that booty finding all type of things. Get it. I mean, what are you going to do?
Like, look closely at his face because he's disgusted.
Dude, that is real life disgust.
But in his eyebrows, I sense a little bit of wonder and curiosity. He's he's grossed out, but he's like, hey.
It seduced me.
That mouth can go either way. It can go disgust or disappointment. That's also a face of disappointment. Also,
absolutely. Comic books in cahoots for $1.99. Incompetence equals mainstream corporate entertainment. Yeah, the MCU for sure. Or the brain trusted DC Comics. Yes. Oh goodness. But moving on. So now they're gonna do some more dissections because it's working out really great to be messing with this goo. Hey guys, let's touch it. Let's touch it and get it all over ourselves and not wear
barehanded.
Now, if you want someone to wear masks, maybe this is the occasion. Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe the thing is
You're a flamethrower.
right. And Puss
Look
always
at him.
he's always siding with the enemy.
Come on, I can't
You
stand
know,
this dude.
we don't need this guy. We don't need this guy. And look at his loser beard compared to Mac's macho beard. Look at this is a birth control beard. This thing, you know.
That thing, it looks terrible. It's like trimmed,
God.
but not well. It's
I love how we're
uneven.
shitting on this poor guy. I hope he never sees this.
I hope he does.
I know
see
he's
it.
an old man. Going,
He's like a grandfather giving his grandkids candy.
Send it to him and watch it in front of his grandchildren. This dude is awful. I would have shot him anyway, infected or not.
Well, funny you say that.
Okay, so we dissect the pooches. The pooches that got turned into something weird.
Yeah, poor thing.
And then what are we looking at here? I don't remember what they're looking at on the monitor.
They're looking at the
watching
tapes.
the film. They're watching the
Yeah.
tape from the Norwegians, and they see the Norwegians have found the flying saucer and digging up things and unfreezing the body of this thing. And they're seeing all the mistakes the Norwegians make and planning how they will try to make the same mistakes.
That's right. I was gonna
And
say
you can
that.
see in the video that, well, like right there, the people are standing apart. So it kind of gives you an idea of how big this thing is.
Right.
And then you also discover that it's been down there for about 100,000 years. So when you saw it in the beginning, crash land on Earth, that was 100,000 years ago. So it's been down there for quite a while.
Oh, I love all the curious facts in the chat. Autopsies are for same species, I guess, human. You do necropsies. How would you say that? Necropsies. Necropsies on animals or aliens. Okay, thank you for clearing that up.
Or aliens. Have there been any aliens that do these necropsies?
That's right.
That's what I want to know.
They're doing them on us.
Hey,
right now.
necropsy.
Probed right now.
It's the right thing to do and a tasty way to do it. Necropsy.
That's right.
Right.
Call me old-fashioned, but when I'm dissecting an alien, I don't call it an autopsy. You know why?
You used to get 4 autopsies for a nickel when I was a boy.
When I was a kid, I had a lobotomy for a nickel. Now.
So
Come and get it, boys. You get 5-cent necropsies right here. Cheapest necropsies in town. Right over here, boys.
Jericho is not in Northern California. His entire identity is a lie. He is from sometime in the 1920s in radio broadcasting straight out of Long Island as a bully.
That's right.
We don't know.
Right. It's a baby. See?
Who is this man?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, boss. Okay. Who were those 2 guys on Looney Tunes? The little wise guy and then
the little short dude. He's fire. He's a Spitfire. He's the boss. What do you want me to do with him, boss? There's always that guy, and then he's like the boss. Do you want us to put him over here? Love it, man.
I'd like to see
Oh my gosh. Let's see. Plus 5 for $2. Thank you. Also, thank you for coloring Isom. Boy, that ish is clean. You know how I do it. By the way, I'm about halfway done with Isom Volume 2. So I am cranking, baby. Truth, Justice, American Way. And I'm about to get to work on Wraith of God. And I showed you boys that thing before the show. That thing I showed you, beat 'em up. I won't say anything else. I got all kinds of great stuff going on. I thank God for what's happening. I'm very, very happy.
It does sound like something totally different when you say I showed you guys that thing before the show. But I know what you mean.
Well, I'm showing you the thing during the show.
Yeah, the thing, that you're rubbing your hands in on the autopsy table and then touching your eyes, that thing.
Yeah.
By the way, we've got about 27-something hours before we're fucked.
Yeah, 27,000 hours if this thing gets out, the entire world population. But everybody knows the cardinal rule, never rub your eyes during a necropsy.
Right. That's right. Right. That's true. So they see the Norwegians, I guess, security cam or whatever they were doing, and they find the flying saucer on the ice. And then they're like, okay, well, their base is here, our base is here. Let's go check out some stuff. Let's go back and check it out again. And so they're getting in the same helicopter, just painted differently, right? And they're going to head over. And what is this photo? Why do I not recognize this? I must have looked down when this came up.
This is when they go down into the where the ship is. So one guy's up there out on the edge.
Right.
And then they're down there. And then they also, it was before this, right? Where they see the ice cut out.
Yeah.
of the ground, or is it after? I can't remember. It's before.
Yeah, because they like walk up on it and see
Yeah,
it's
they walk up
huge.
on the block that was removed.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. And then we cut back to, and I'm sure what they're dealing with here, but it's Palmer and Keith David having one of their intense talks again about basically what the F is going on here. Because Childs, he doesn't like any of this. He can smell this from a mile away. This is a bad idea. He's not down with what we're doing here. We shouldn't be messing and looking at this stuff. And I think Palmer, he gets a little bit of the hippie lettuce going. He doesn't seem too concerned with anything, this guy.
Yeah.
You know, he's just having a good time, this guy. You know?
Yep.
He's chilling.
Right. He's
Smoking
looking for
reefer,
the
having a
ding
good time.
dongs and the ho-hos.
Childs is like a cross between Drake and Hudson from Aliens is the best way I would put it. You know what I mean? Because he's how Drake would handle coming to the realization of we're probably fucked. Something really bad's going on. We need to get the fuck out of here. Like we need to stop fooling with this. And he and also with the sort of insubordination aspect of it, right? Which is, you know, much like Vasquez and Drake, they were kind of like going, this is dumb shit. You know what I mean? Because they're not, you know, they're colonial Marines and they're working for this corporation. And so it's hardly, you know, your typical thing. Apone is trying to keep them in line as much as possible. But he's much like the characters in 12 Angry Men, which is the holdout. And what starts out as the first holdout and then ending in the final holdout on the opposite side of the proposition. Keith David and Kurt Russell are those guys, without a doubt. They are absolutely... and it's about bringing those two together in terms of finding some common ground. That's the brilliance of it.
But I think Drake and Vasquez, they weren't as free to voice their opinion as Childs is here because of that Marine structure. So it was kind of, you know, we're going to obey the rule. We're going to obey the orders, but in between us two, you know, with low voices, we're going to be talking some shit. Right. But this one. No, Childs was a young Keith David, was very vocal with his disapproval of the situation throughout, not just here, throughout. When they start getting into the shit and, you know, who's what and all that kind of stuff, he's very vocal with his opinions on things.
Yeah.
Right. So they've gathered data from going back there and they're kind of getting it all together. And they think they pretty much figured out this thing is from space and it's able to infect people and then like imitate them. So it's like this stealth hunter kind of monster.
Yep.
And what in the world are we going to do? And Brimley, he's great in this movie, by the way. He seems like obviously he's the computer guy. He's very analytical, and they're having the discussion. But here's the part where we're going to have to suspend some disbelief.
Yep.
In 1982, Wilford Brimley goes to his
2600.
his Atari
2600.
2600. Well, I said a C64 had 12 kilobytes of ROM. Someone in the chat corrected me. It's in the name. It's a C64. It has 64 kilobytes. Come on, Gabe. Either way, a Word document, if you write someone a letter, that's like 60 kilobytes. Like, I don't know how these computers worked in the old days. So anyway, he has some inputs. He put some information in his supercomputer from 1982.
Super duper.
And it has like animated cells, like giving him a model of how the infected thing cells are going to infect blood and human tissue. And then it does the algorithmic equation. It does the equation. That's redundant algorithmic equation. It does the equation to tell him that the world is going to end. Like, what did it say? 27 days or something like that. And
27,000 hours, which is actually just over 3 years.
Right.
The entire world would be infected.
Probability that one or more team members may be infected by intruder organism, 75%. Yep. They did not have computers like this back then. I mean, I understand they could do models and they could write code in C++ and all that, and or C++ and figure stuff out. But I gotta shut up because I'm ruining like the suspension of disbelief here. But this part bugged me. I hate saying that. Oh,
but this is what you see in all of these kind of movies when there needs to be somebody who's a computer guy or computer nerd. Except now it wouldn't be such a man such as Wilford Brimley. It would be some skinny little nerd like Seth Green or something, who is, you know, he's their computer guy. So he'd be in front of the computer, all this kind of stuff. But it would still do the same thing. I think it's just more believable now because we have that technology. But they would totally have something where they, you know, they put in the info and the computer's going to tell them. You know, it would be like, you know, like one of those disaster movies where an asteroid is coming to hit the Earth, and they put it in a computer and shows in this amount of time, and then it would hit and the screen would turn red as the destruction, you know, expand outward. So I think it's the same kind of thing. Yes, 1982, this wasn't possible, but you had to kind of fill in those gaps somehow. And they figured, well, nobody's going to question Wilford Brimley, so we'll have him do the scene.
Right.
Apparently, they didn't know about Gabe in 2022.
He's like, apocalyptic prognostications. It's the right thing to do and a tasty way to do it. Right here, with a horrifying avatar of a weird clown. Think about what you'd think about.
My body, my choice. That's what that avatar makes me think.
Oh, thank you, friend.
My body,
sorry to interrupt the flow, but I'm proposing to my girlfriend this weekend. Any advice for proposing? Well, first of all, congratulations, friend. And thank you for the money. Very generous. I will say this. Tiniest handcuff in the world. Just kidding. I've been married.
Clink, clink.
I've been married for 26 years this coming November 13th. And it is the greatest thing in my life. And you said girlfriend, I'm going to assume you're a man. I'm going to assume your pronouns. You're a young man. And I will tell you this. As long as you're certain you're done with other women and you leave that behind, this is going to be the greatest thing in your life, dude. Commit to it and understand that a marriage is a partnership. You become one flesh. You're one person, together. You're the ultimate team. And it's a daily thing. It's like lifting weights or anything else you do. It's like brushing your teeth. You have to do it every day. You don't brush them once and then 8 years later say, oh, no, I brushed my teeth back in 1996. I don't need to do it again. It's like being committed to your marriage, working on your spirit and your mind and your body. It's a daily thing, your career, all of it, then eventually raising children. It's, I've lived my dreams professionally as an artist at the top of, comics and all that. I give it up like that. If you ask me to choose between my wife and kids and money comics and all that, it's the most wonderful, beautiful blessing God can give us. And it takes hard work to be married, to compromise all that, but it's so worth it. So I wish you good luck. As far as specifically proposing, I don't have any advice on that, man. Do you guys have advice on that?
You know what? I just might have some. Number one, again, congratulations. Yes, marriage is work, but it's the greatest reward you'll ever have. If this is the woman for you, it looks like you're going to do it. So do it. Don't waste time. The orgy bus is not around the corner. Oh, you just missed it, man. You got married. That's not going to happen. Okay. Lock this woman down. Enjoy being married for about a year. Start making those damn babies. Now, as far as proposing, if you want me to be honest, you're proposing for her. So make sure it's something that's going to sound cool when she tells her friends about it.
Right.
Okay. Make sure that's picture her telling her friends. And if it sounds great, you did good, because that's what she's going to do. That's who the proposal's for. Just like your baby's first birthday party is for the mom. Kids
right.
Go ahead, Sean. I got it, because I got to jump in here with this one. The key to women in romance is about memory and specificity. When you do something romantic for a woman, 9 times out of 10, she says, you remembered. So what you got to make sure you do, this is the thing. When you're really funny, people don't say that's so funny. When you're really funny, people say that's so true. It's about truth. It's about getting to some idea. And so when it comes to proposal with women, I always say this, is that think about memories and things she has said that are important to you and show off your memory skills. That's what she's going to be moved by the most. Memory, specificity.
And FFNR, flowers for no reason.
Right.
Amen.
Do that forever. I don't care, every couple months, every month, whatever. Flowers for no reason. Because if you wait until you're in trouble to get flowers, it's too late. It's not going to get you out of trouble. Build credit in your account. Flowers for no reason.
Yeah. And when you the line, I got a little something, you could use it or not. We can harken back to the knowledge of our forefathers. When you do propose, consider this line. You could use it or not. The great Wilford Brimley, you could say, marry me. It's the right thing to do and a tasty way to do it.
You're damn right. Yeah. That's if you want the panties to fall off right there on the spot. Right. If not, wait. But when you drop that line, be ready for the panties to come sliding down, because that's just what happens when you quote Wilford Brimley.
That's right. Yeah,
and bang a lot. Have sex a lot. A healthy sex life is indicative of a healthy relationship.
Jericho Green as Clams Casino in The Orgy Bus.
If I slow this bus down, it's gonna blow up. There's gonna be pussy everywhere.
That's the high rollers room. It's called the orgy bus. Okay.
You imagine you propose to your girlfriend in a bus full of women.
Fuck.
They're like, we need to judge our bikini for the contest.
Dude, That ain't gonna happen. All right, lock it down. Do it.
Jericho's killing me.
Oh,
Dude, hey, anybody that tells you marriage isn't great, they messed up. Marriage is awesome. You have a partner.
Yeah.
You have a partner that you make humans with.
Right. It's like anything else you do or own or pursue or any pursuit in life. It's what you make of it. Like if it sucks, well, I'm sorry. That's because you suck.
Yep.
Like get better. Like this is your project. Like make it better. I'm sure there are exceptions, but you know what I mean in general. I love how when you say something that's like basically true, and then someone points out that 1%, a 1% outlier.
Yeah,
like, gosh damn it! Do you know how to
talk
think?
to Amber? See if you can work it out.
You know
Right, exactly.
And don't shit in each other's bed, and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
I can't believe that happened. That's insane. Look, oh my gosh.
My goodness.
That shit's crazy. No pun intended. But that was crazy.
Aruma Faye for $49.99, and she's saving that other penny for Wilfred Brimley with his 4 pennies. Now he's got a nickel.
Now you got him.
Now you got him.
Wilfred.
Who's so funny now, Mr. Brimley? Thank you so much. Aruma Faye says, this is so damn wholesome. Men passing down knowledge to other men. I love it. Good luck to the new engagement too. Yeah, absolutely. And it's the way it's got to be. Iron sharpens iron. This is what brotherhood is about. This is how men love each other. We trash each other and make fun of each other incessantly. Mm-hmm. And we throw in the truth about what we really think about each other. And then we hold each other to account. I mentioned this once before on here, but man candy right here. Jericho, Shant, and I, we're all losing weight together. Yep. We text each other about lifting weights. And I wrote to Jericho, guys, I'm tempted to go to Jack in the Box at 2 a.m. or whatever. And he roasted me about that. And I didn't go. You know what I mean? And I'll text these two and I'll say, "Do you fuckers lose weight today?" You know what I mean? And it's fun. It's really fun. I love the camaraderie. So absolutely, men passing down knowledge and holding each other to standards. I love it. I love it so much. So thank you so much. Very generous. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Where are we? I got your proposal right here.
Hey, if that don't work out, just say, "Hey, you want to marry this right here?" Hey, broad. Make sure you call her broad a lot. Women love that.
Hey, you broad. Your base.
Hey, careful. Hey, watch out. It comes the base.
All right. So Blair Brimley, he doesn't like what his ColecoVision has told him here. It's given him a glimpse into the future of a world overrun with tentacle dogs.
Go back to the one where he's sitting there. His face work in this movie. You go back to the stink face. You got this face right here. This face says, "If I have to tell you one more time, I'm gonna get up and beat your ass." That's what that face says.
Right. And then we got this too, this beauty here.
Yep.
This one right here. Like
he just got the stink finger. That's what that is. That's stink finger face. No. Yep. That's stink finger face.
Oh goodness.
Oh, Wilfred.
Goodness gracious me. Wilfred. So he's the star of this movie, as far as I'm concerned. The beard, Max Beard. Max Beard is the star.
Well, obviously the beard is the star of the show. Then the hair, then Wilfred.
Right. Yeah. So he's got his little snub nose 38 in the drawer here.
Yeah,
wow.
Snubby.
Right. And the boys, they're making plans now. But what do we got to do? We got to lock things down. We got to be safe. We got to figure out what we're up to.
This is where he's telling him, because the guy behind him, he's the one who took the graze. He got grazed with the bullet. He's in there with another guy. And this guy on the right comes up to Face Main and tells him, "I need to talk to you." He's like, "I'm too tired. I'm done talking. I don't want to talk. I want to go up to my, what he says, my shack or my shed, and get drunk." He's like, "No, man, I really need to talk to you." And he's like, "Well, what? Talk, like right here. Like, what the fuck?" He's like, "No, man, we need to go out to the crawler and talk. This is some serious shit." And then he takes them to go out there in the crawler, that big yellow box thing. And they start dropping knowledge. Now, when Homeboy, if you go back Homeboy with the sunglasses on, I didn't trust him right there. I was like, "Fuck, you got sunglasses on."
Yeah.
There's a light hurting your alien eyes or some shit. What's going on here? And then they go, the guy and Face Main go out and talk in the crawler.
Right. What you brought up here is a fun aspect of the movie that we didn't bring up. I said this felt like a play. And then what's his name? The great editor for Phenom Comics, blonde kid. I don't know. You're in the chat. We love you. I forgot your name though. There's these guys are all paranoid of each other, right? But then there's a meta level. Von Coleman, that's who it was that said that. Yep. There's a meta level where we're paranoid as the viewer. Like, ooh, maybe his sunglasses, ears are weirdo. maybe this guy's up, maybe that dog is also like, and that's a fun little thing that you get to get involved. And now you're like one of these guys at McMurdo Station. You don't know what the hell's going on here. And it isn't so much scary as it's thrilling. You know, it's thrilling. It's kind of like a mystery, kind of like a game of Clue or whatever. I think it's the mystery of this is really fun.
A very fucked up game of Clue.
Yep.
It was Colonel Mustard in the depot.
Clue, but a very different version.
Right.
Of Clue.
It was Colonel Brimley in the kitchen with the oatmeal.
And he ate it because it was the right thing to do.
Right. So these two are talking out here, and Glasses is like, he's losing it. He's getting really upset at what's going on. And then there's a ruckus inside.
Well, he tells him in here that I don't remember everything he said, but he ends with telling him that there's still like viable tissue, even though they've been burned. He's like, there's still alive. Right. And then so he's like, oh, and then you see Kurt Russell, those big, beautiful blue eyes, they widen, and he says, oh shit. And then they hear, like you said, a ruckus inside, and then shit's going down. Right.
Oh, and the great Von Coleman, he edited a book I worked on, I believe, at Phenom Comics. Carpenter didn't tell the actors they were the Thing until the reveal scenes, so they'd be more natural. Ooh, I love that. I hope that's true. Cool. I do believe you, but that's fantastic.
That's cool. Oh, yeah, little shit like that, man. Just that attention to detail makes John Carpenter great.
Yeah, Bainmauler jumping in on that same idea. Even Childs and McCready never know if either are the Thing. Oh, I hope the actors weren't told. I choose to believe that.
That's pretty cool.
Yes, that's awesome. So, oh no, but first the guy that got shot in the leg.
Yes.
Right? He comes out first, right?
They go back to the room and Sunglasses, who I thought, something's up with this guy. Turns out the guy he was with, he leaves the room and comes back. There's just a bunch of blood. There's a hole in the window, and this guy's missing. And so they catch him outside.
His coat is still there, too.
He's not running too fast. And they catch this dude outside. And notice everybody ran outside very quickly, but they all have coats on. That lets you know this was real. This was in Alaska. This shit was cold. Even if you're running out in an emergency, you better bundle up or you're going to be part of the emergency. And so they catch homeboy outside. He's not running too fast. He's kind of like transforming as he's running, so he's not in a full sprint. They catch his ass pretty easy, and then it goes all downhill for him.
Yeah, and it's a great reveal because he's hunched over here, and they can't see his hands in his lap. He's on his knees in the green coat there. And when he turns to look at them, he has these giant, you can see him, they're these horrible, meaty, nasty fingers. And then he opens his mouth, and it's this horrific, not howling, but just like an alien screech. Like a
screech. Yeah. That's what I was saying.
It's so well done because he just you can see the look on his face. There's just empty eyes, shows him the gross hands, and then like the squawk screech thing.
And I watched the director's cut, and in the director's cut, the guy looks up at Mac and he says, "Hey, you want me to scratch your balls?" And then, then they set him on fire. But that's a director's cut.
Not in front of the guys.
Hey, later there.
Hey, that was
his body moved to my quarters. Sorry.
Right. So they set that barrel on the right side, the bottom right quadrant there. They kick it over. All the kerosene or whatever they would be using in the cold comes out, and they light their friend on fire.
Dude.
So that's it's the right thing. It's the right thing to do, and a tasty way to do it. Hey, who wants a barbecued friend over here?
Hey, get that coleslaw over here. He's almost done. But I guess they had all this because they use copious amounts of kerosene and shit. But I imagine it's for the heating, elements. Stuff.
Well, they had the underground generators too. Remember? And the generators run on. It can't be diesel because diesel freezes in the cold. It turns into like jelly in the cold.
Well,
so it has to be
this is speaking to how severe their situation is. Because this is the shit they depend on to live. And every time they're using it to do something, they have to have an awareness of how much they need to make it through this time when they're going to have no contact with anybody. How much they need for all the various things. They talk about that with the blood. They talk about that with, all of the various, things that they have going on. And, this dude, this is the thing that's so chilling about it. Because we've just learned that there's still living tissue even after you burn it. And we've also realized that according to these folks, this thing has been under the ice for how long? And this thing was still able to, it's bad shit. Yeah. Like we're already done, Impressive.
All right. We got some great insight from John here. Build a man a fire and he'll be warm for a day. Set a man on fire and he'll be warm for the rest of his life. Can't argue with that.
Oh my God. That got Jericho. You won.
Bravo, John.
That was
Bravo.
fucking funny. I mean, but it's true. That's so true.
Funny 'cause it's true.
You give a man the ability to burn himself,
Right.
and
He was never cold again.
never. That's awesome. That's the long game there. That's
You
that's
imagine
thinking
getting
the long game.
cooked. You can imagine getting cooked, and the people that like eat you, they don't really like you. You're kind of oversalted or tough. Then you get put away in the fridge as fucking leftovers, and then you just get made to some pathetic goulash soup, and then you just get thrown away or fed to the dog.
You're like
I would
Thanksgiving
be
turkey on
angry. You know,
Thanksgiving
I'd be
turkey on the third or fourth day. Turkey
Oh.
soup.
Last
Right.
thing he saw was his friends walking towards him with marshmallows on sticks.
angry. There you go.
Terrible way to go.
would've been a-
I didn't
that's a
like.
weird-
I didn't like the chief. What's this guy's name? He's wishy-washy. This
Oh,
guy.
he's a great actor. What's his name? He played the president in Clear and Present Danger. He's a fantastic actor.
Yeah, I
So-
thought for a split second I had suspicious feelings about him, but
Yeah.
he was pretty cool. I like him.
Right.
I didn't have a problem, especially after that 50-yard eyeball shot with the
Right.
revolver.
Oh my God.
You know, adrenaline pumping, uneven surface to hold the gun on. That dude's awesome.
And he says, "I guess we just don't see eye to eye."
Put your glasses on, yeah, just like CSI.
Oh no, he shot Lars.
Yeah. Yeah, Donald Moffat, man. That's our guy.
Oh, he did his thing, man.
Right.
he's
So they burned their friend to death because he's
Mhm.
now an alien mutant.
And now
And
they
then-
know.
Yeah.
Now they know that you got to really burn the shit out of him. So they're
Right.
making him this little, this little bathtub of kerosene here that they're going to finish the job
Right.
with.
Hell
And
yeah.
that's the end of bald redheaded guy.
That's it, Ginger. See you, buddy.
You know, pour one out for the homies.
They fucked him up.
Right.
Oh, and then so right before this scene, in between the kerosene bathtub and this scene, you see what's his name? Is it Blair?
Blair, Wilford Brimley's Blair. Yes.
Yeah, we see Blair like kind of running, like scurrying off around the corner. He Face Main catches him because nothing gets past Face Main.
That's
and
right.
he runs over and he sees him running from the helicopter. So he pulls the tarp off, looks. Wilford Brimley fucking pulled out all the wires, like, so they can't get out of there. He did
Yeah,
the
he
same
destroyed
thing
it
with one of the tractors or something, because he asked a young Keith David if to find out what else he messed up, and he says, yeah, he messed up one of the tractors too. And then I guess he didn't get the crawler because they use that to make the little kerosene bathtub. But then they follow him back inside, and Wilford Brimley
he's having a standoff in like a
having a tough
big
time.
computer room. It looks like he's chopping up. I mean, it's 1982, but they look like servers, and he's
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
crazy with the axe and sunglasses. If you look at the bottom left there, about a third, you see the blue jeans behind the chair in the boot. That's sunglasses, and he has blood on his forehead. So
I think he
something
hit him.
happened in here.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
hit
he
him or
must have hit him. And Wilford Brimley's going crazy. He destroyed the helicopter. He destroyed the tractor, and now he's destroying all their communications equipment because his ColecoVision told him if this alien escapes McMurdo base, that's curtains for the world.
something.
That's
And there's a 75% chance that that they're
Right.
affected too.
and that means no more Booyah base for anybody.
And that's
You know
what
what I'm
really
saying?
drove him crazy is the lack of bouillabaisse. That's what set him off.
Right.
They do that to anybody.
Yeah. So he's shooting at his own friends, and he's determined to not let them stop him from destroying everything that could let them get out of this place. Because he wants to save the world. He believes what his computer told him in those models. So again, this is that thing I talked about where it's like a stage play where you're relying on all the tension between the actors. I love what they're doing here because what he's doing, it's brutal, but it makes sense. If you're thinking of the greater good, it does make sense for them to abandon themselves here.
And I think that also plays into, or that also shows you men's place in the world, because he figured, fuck it, but we'll die, no question, to save the rest of the world. He's like, a bunch of men. I think if there were women there or a woman there, he may have thought differently. That may have gave him pause, but a bunch of dudes, fuck it, we're all gonna die.
Right.
Yeah. And he says nobody's getting out of here. Nobody. He keeps saying it over and over again. And he's included himself. I mean, it's not like he's sacrificing other people and
it's him too.
Now I'm out of here on a chopper. Like he's like, nope, me too. I'm
Right.
done.
So they end up being able to subdue Blair, and then they're taking him out to the to a little shed. Like, no, you're gonna live in here now because you're on
You're
that
on
job. And
timeout.
you tried to kill everyone.
Yeah.
And look at even that they knocked him out.
Right.
So Kurt Russell formulates a plan. He tells Keith David, "You go around there and distract him." They take a fold-up table, kind of use it like a shield, like the correctional officers when they're rushing into a cell or something. Use it as like a riot shield.
Right.
They overcome him. He throws a couple dudes off. So at that point, when he threw a couple dudes off, I thought, oh, is that the alien strength? Is he an alien or something? But it turns out it wasn't. He was just pissed. And so they get back on him again. Kurt Russell gives him a 2-piece with no biscuit, knocks him out, and then they dress him again. So damn cold outside. A quick trip from that building to that building could be deadly. And you can see they have these ropes, this little path they've made with ropes. So if it's a storm or something, it's a whiteout, they can follow that rope from building to building.
Right.
So
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say they were taking him. He's still unconscious, and they're taking him to his timeout tent.
Right. I love this comment here from Odin Dasco. One of the greatest things about this movie is how quickly so many characters' personalities get established. I noticed that right away too. There's no fat on this. This is lean and mean the way they do the storytelling. Every time you meet a new character in that first half hour, you see them do actions, plot stuff that reveals their character. I've talked about that before, where the argument of plot-driven versus character-driven stories, and I don't really think that exists, because what I learned in the stuff I've studied is that plot reveals character and character reveals plot. The character, their personalities are revealed by the plot that they do. You know what I mean? And the plot that happens, well, those characters have to do it, and that establishes if they're heroic, dishonest, whatever, scary. So, yeah, I think you're totally right, dude. The characters in this, their personalities and what they're, most of the main character is established right away. And I think it's great acting and great writing.
And they're not all Kurt Russells. They're not all the alpha leader guy. You have the commander. He's the leader, but he's an older guy. Keith David, he ain't taking no shit. The cook kind of doesn't take any shit, but he's not really a leader either. You got Sunglasses. He's certainly not a leader. You got Puss, with the dogs and stuff. So they're all men. They're all experts, but they're not all the leader types. And that hierarchy is established quickly.
Right. Yeah. It's show, don't tell, Von Beck 11231. Yeah. And look, and I know we're saying that Mac is the leader. Look at his, as someone that draws action and human beings moving. He's got a strut in this picture, Mac. That leg kicking out, the arms swinging big, standing straight up with the shoulders back. He's strutting, you can
hear the Bee Gees, staying alive in this scene right here where he's walking.
You can tell by the way he walks, he's a woman's man.
No time to talk. None. Obviously.
That's all right.
Yeah.
He's okay.
Come on. Look at that. How many beans have been flicked to that image? Let's be honest.
So they lock Blair up in the little hut. Mac tells him what's what, how this shit's gonna be. You're here until you're crazy. So now you're here. You can't be
you destroyed the fucking.
You ruined everything.
You basically ruined it all. So we got to lock you up.
I would also believe some of these images of him as just like a folk singer's album cover or something like that.
Yeah, like
I don't know.
Creedence Clearwater Revival.
Right.
Shit.
Right.
Yeah.
Going on the bayou.
Come on, the rising wind. Yeah, do any of that shit. I'm down for any of that.
Right. So they devise a plan talking to Palmer, the chief, the older guy that's the actual boss, even though Mac is taking all the responsibility of leadership. And with the doctor, and they say, well, we have blood from everyone because I guess if you go to a remote place for 6 months, it's probably good to give yourself some blood donations in case you get injured and you need some blood. Hey, we got some of your own blood in here. And we could test people's clean blood, against their maybe possibly infected blood. They explained it, but I don't remember. And it's going to be a way to find out who might be infected.
Also in the computer model.
Right.
It showed the bad stuff, ding, 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 going over to the good stuff. And
I wish it had Pac-Man sound effects when it was moving.
Yep. I saw a version of that clip because I was doing research on that scene where I'm not joking, actually has, when it looks at the screen, it cuts to Rick Astley. Rick and I was like, what the hell is going on?
Hey, shout out to Rick Astley. I love that song. My daughter likes that song.
Yeah, when they go in to go get their refrigerated blood they've been keeping, someone has opened it and just drained it all and gotten rid of it. So there's a saboteur amongst them.
But not everybody has access to it.
Right.
There's
Right.
a key.
Right. And the chief there in the brown khaki with the gun belt, that's Palmer. He's the one that, well, I have the key, but someone could have stole it. And there's accusations flying around. And this is what makes this movie so good. All the accusations, and you as the viewer, it's like you're there in the room with him. Like I don't know who it could, I think it could be him. What the fuck's that guy wearing sunglasses? What's this dude and all his oatmeal?
Yeah.
Like you can't trust anyone in here. And it's really, again, it's like the worst game of Clue. It's a lot of fun to try and figure it out in your own head. For $2 plus $5, caption that CD cover of Kurt. Love me some BG and CCR. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Agree, friend. Let's see.
Also, you're also looking at, well, who's not in the room? Like who's not in there? Who's snuck off? Who's snuck out of frame? And in this scene, the doctor or Kurt Russell says, who has access to it? And the doctor said, well, I guess that'd be me. I'm the medic. I'm the doctor here. But the other guy, Palmer, he's the one with the actual keys. Like, but I have the key.
It's Gary. I think Gary is the guy who's the president from Clear and Present Danger.
Oh, he's Gary. Oh, Palmer's in the green jacket.
Oh, okay.
Palmer
Yeah.
Is
the green vest and the white sleeve.
The leader, the commander. He
Gary,
says, I'm the only one with the key. And the medic says, yeah, if I need something, I go to the commander, I get it, and he locks it back up. So the commander guy is the only one with the key. So they're thinking, well, fuck, did you have something to do with it? And then he says, well, maybe, someone lifted it from me. And then Keith David was like, get the fuck out of here. No one's going to sneak in and lift the key off your belt loop or whatever. He's like, that's bullshit. Something else happened.
Right. And for $2, Sean Cromo, and I've seen him complaining in the chat, justifiable complaining, by the way. We deserve it. We're just killing him with the names here. Palmer's the bot, that's right. And Gary is the boss with the gat on his hip.
Well, I see the name mix up, but I raise you the 2 R's in Gary. I think Gary's only one.
Oh, that's Gary. How would you do that?
Gary. Ooh, Gary.
First of all, that was the
gosh.
Gary.
Oh, I'm going to mute your mic. Stop it.
And you're muted. I'm just reading what I'm seeing.
All right.
Oh my God.
Gross. So then,
this
little fucker, he goes over and punches the glass out in the gun case. So you think, all right, this little bastard, because he was in the room with Ginger when he changed. So this little bastard is the guy now. Is he? Let's see.
Right. Yeah, they have they're keeping 8 shotguns in this case, and he's going to get in there, and Gary pulls a gun on him, but then he starts pointing it at everyone, and everyone is losing their shit here. No one knows who to trust. And it's the drama, you can cut the tension with a knife. It's really fun. It's easy to put yourself in the situation. Someone said in here, I can't find it now, but they said it's the OG Among Us. There's that video game Among Us where you're on a space cruiser and you're these little characters, and one of you is the thingy. You're the monster, but you all look like little astronauts. And you're supposed to assassinate your friends when you get them alone in a room, but you're supposed to act like you're not the monster if you're the monster. Very popular game. I've never played it, but I've seen it online. So very similar theme in that. So let's see. What am I? Oh, these are the bags.
Yeah,
they buried the bags and they're going to get rid of them. Right.
Everything. I'm telling you, if you like flamethrowers in this movie, or flamethrowers, you're going to love this movie. Right. They put those flamethrowers through their paces.
Right. So who are they shooting up with the morphine here? I don't remember.
They picked 3 people that they're going to keep isolated in a room. They're shooting up with morphine, I guess, to keep them docile or some shit.
Right.
And then they're going to check, somebody's going to watch them and make sure they don't turn into the thing.
And he's leaving a recording, right? And he says, what does he say? What does he say about it? I know it's kind of like trying to explain what happened to them. And
he's saying he just wants to leave some kind of record of what happened, in case they're unable to, if they all die or, something happens. He wants to leave a record of what actually happened. And he's telling them step by step. He tells them, because a couple scenes before this, what's the guy's name? The other, not Keith David, the other black dude who's the cook. He says, hey, he's like, they say, who left their damn dirty underwear in my kitchen or the kitchen trash can? That's disgusting. Right. And then, so here he's doing the recording and he's saying how apparently it rips through your clothes, when it changes, and he found these in the wastebasket, but the name was missing, so we don't know who the fuck came from this torn piece of clothing here. And he's just letting him know what's happening. And at the end of this scene, the camera kind of goes up and it's looking down on him. And
yeah,
it's talking about his pronoun. That's what he started. It doesn't show, but he started the tape with, "This is McCready. Identify as he, him. I'm wearing a green shirt and belt." He broke it down.
Identify as the thing.
He's all, "I have the sexiest beard on earth."
Duh. You can probably hear it in the microphone. It's all, you hear that? That's my beard blowing in its own wind.
Right.
It creates its own wind.
Yeah,
So
a lot of people didn't know his beard's nickname was Midnight Fog. People don't know that.
That's right.
It's a separate ecosystem. It has its own environmental protections. But so the camera's kind of up looking down on him, so you can see the doorway behind him a little bit more. In that scene, he's at the end of the scene, he's kind of off to the side. So most of the frame is the doorway. So what does that mean? We're going to see some shadow. Somebody's going to come in. Maybe he's going to turn around and the thing is going to be trying to change him into some shit. We're going to find out who, because there's only one reason they're going to show this kind of shot is because something's going to come out. And it doesn't. It does not happen.
Right.
But he does scare the shit out of this dude when he turns around and sees him in the doorway.
Right. Yeah. This guy, when he comes out of the room, a big black form just moves right in front of him.
That
is a little bit
right
of a jump.
here. Oh, you were talking about
a different big black form. Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
But what I liked about this scene is it did scare him. He's like, "Oh shit!" But then he was like, "Who was that?" Like he was like, they're at the point where fuck it, I'm not scared. I've seen something turn into something else. I've seen 9 dogs fucking melt into one. Like he wasn't scared. He was shocked. He was startled, but immediately after he was like, "Hey, who the fuck is that? What is that?" So I kind of like that. Yeah, and he's like the nerdy dude. So you would think he would be like, oh, hello, that kind of shit. But he was like, "Oh, the fuck is that?" Like,
right. And the as a painter yourself, Sean, again, the colors here are so gorgeous. They keep using these flares, these candles. They keep playing that indigo light from the outdoor lighting they have off of the hot like candles or flares. It's gorgeous the way they do that stuff.
Yeah. Again, to quote my wonderful mentor, I bring up all the time, man. We are not suffering from a lack of technology. We're suffering from a lack of knowledge. That is the issue. It's we have the tech, to do everything that we need to do to make beautiful, wondrous, amazing imagery for our audience. We have what it takes to entertain. The audio of you hearing us talk right now is better than radio was in its prime. We can do so much. And what we have to do is take this, what we're doing, this art form, whether it's what we're doing now, which is this kind of this talk show, analysis of art with, video material as well. But this is the thing. I see so much technology going to utterly, flaccid effect, for lack of a better way of putting it. You see this and it's raw.
This is rock hard, like diamond.
Yeah, that shit's like playing pool with rope. Sorry.
hard.
8 ball, quarter pocket.
But here's a question. Speaking of art, if something from 1982 is this gripping, is this awe-inspiring, in terms of art, do you need technology? Because they didn't have it and they still were creating powerful things like this.
Well, we said earlier, someone said in the chat, can you imagine if Carpenter had a huge budget? And I brought up, if you give artists too much time and money, you're going to waste a lot of time and money. I heard someone say, if you get like a boa constrictor, they'll grow as big as the tank you buy for them. You know what I mean? Yeah. And artists, a lot of them, unfortunately, too many of them, not me, will use the deadline you give them. So I do think too much tech is like, look at when you watch the Marvel movies. I pick on them all the time because they suck. But look at like that third Matrix movie where it's just a CGI mess. There's just shit flying everywhere that never existed. And you're watching like a gun battle and you just don't care. You're just watching and you're just like, okay, I guess there's a bunch of robots and you just don't even care. So I think you need a certain amount of technology, but I think we have an embarrassment of riches here. We have too much. And I was listening to Dr. Drew and Adam Carolla years ago, and Dr. Drew was talking about the concept of being excuse me, sorry, I want to sneeze. Being reckless when you feel safe. Imagine a video game where you like do the code where you turn on invincibility. You just run through the lava and let all the bad guys shoot your guy. You don't care because you're safe. And he was saying there was a thing to it that the safer we make cars with all these airbags and anti-lock brakes and all these modern safety things, people can drive more recklessly because they think they're kind of invincible. So I think if you give people too much tech to make this art and all this stuff, then they don't appreciate what they have, and they won't work as hard because we'll fix it in post. You know what I mean? We'll fix it on the computer or whatever. And Sean, you know that being a professional illustrator like me, you run into that from editorials sometimes. Like, I remember working on the World of Warcraft comics. So we're working with a video game company making paper comic books. And, you have an orc or whatever in the panel that you've drawn, like this. And you'll get a note from a video game company saying, can you turn his head 20%? And it's like, that's not how drawings work. That's how video games work. Sure, it's in your computer. But so they're thinking in a different way because they have too much tech. So I do think too much tech will hurt this stuff. And you said the new Thing movie is not so great, right?
Jericho? I mean, it was cool. No, I liked it. I thought it was good. You get, the CGI, it makes it smoother. There are more scenes where you see it like moving, running around quickly, scurrying, I think because it looks better because of the CGI. But I feel like if somebody told you guys, if someone said, Gabe, Sean, no more computers with your drawing, I don't think there would be a drop off in quality at all. It would be more time consuming. I'm sure technology does make some parts a little bit easier, but I don't think you guys will shed any tears. I think you'd be like, okay, I'm still going to crank out badass shit without that. Like, it's not a crutch to you. It's an accessory. It makes your job easier, but without it, that's not going to change. Your work's not going to change at all.
And Sean and I both.
Oh, go ahead, Sean. Sorry.
No, that Denzel Washington video I play very often at the start of my stream. One of my favorite quotes, where he says, "Ease is a greater threat to progress than hardship." It's true. Look around you guys. These aren't the results of hardship. As much as people scream about how life has never been harder than it is now, as we go back and watch people getting along better and doing it better in the past, they act as though that's never happened and now is the hardest time. No, you're seeing the fruits of decadent ease. That's what you're seeing right now. And what's it lead to? A loss of belief, a loss of any kind of stability in the minds of these folks, too much time on their hands to invent problems and drive themselves crazy. And these very same people, I always say this, is that I always think about September 10th, 2001. I think about it a lot. The leading
you were plotting with your friends this big event you guys were doing?
Well, no, the
sounds like
this is the problem. This is the problem with my memory, right? I remember things that, like, in context, the day before a certain event in 2001, September 10th, the leading news story was, does J-Lo, who was dating Sean P. Diddy Combs at the time, how do we feel as a country, the greatest catastrophe, about her using the N-word in the song I'm Real?
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yep.
And you look at this kind of stuff and you think to yourself, that's the day before. Do you understand? Like, that's what it takes. That's what it takes for people to get their shit together and to realize what actual life is. That we have the time to worry about, geez, let me think about this. Canceling pop stars, totally irrelevant. But we have the, for today, right? Mm-hmm. But we have the time to do it. It is a gross misuse of our, like, resources, both intellectual and everything else. It's poison. And that is what that amorphous thing is. It is the mentality of Twitter manifest in biology. That's what it is. This sickening, poisoning.
That's not what you want.
It's not at all what you want. You don't want that contaminating your soul,
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah. No, you're right, man. I remember New Year's Eve, 2019 into 2020. I was on a yacht in Coronado Bay in San Diego with my wife. Music was crazy. It was a new decade. Trump was president. The economy was at an all-time high. No one knew about the pandemic coming. You know what I mean? And I text all my friends last night, guys, it's a golden age. I kept saying that. I sent out like 30 texts. It's a golden age. It's a golden age. It's the roaring 20s. Let's do it. Let's kill it. This is going to, and we didn't know what was coming, like just a few short weeks later, because we'd heard in the news something weird in China is going on, but these things pop up, Middle East, other countries, and they always die down. And I'll never forget that 2020 New Year's Eve on this yacht with a couple hundred people. It was like one of those things, a charter little cruise, like 3 hours around the bay under the Coronado Bridge. And it was really nice New Year's Eve with my wife. We'd never done that before. And like you're saying, that's like September 10th. Like you have no idea what's coming. So
and we, no matter how people may feel about what transpired, we still have the residue on us. We still haven't cleansed ourselves of that. And to think of the times before, you watch movies and shows, we see these huge groups and these parties. You're like, oh man, if you only knew what it would be like, in 2020 or whatever. But the day before, we really lose sight of, how great we have it, and the frivolous things we're allowed to focus on.
Right. All right, moving on. So junior scientist got spooked by a big black shadow. No, I'm not saying a black person, Jericho.
It's too late. The fence is already
it was a monster. It was a monster of color. That's how they like to refer to it.
It's a monstrous dog shadow.
Nobody like Mongo.
Hashtag not all aliens. Sorry.
Oh, boy.
God, make it stop. Oh, dude, that is the cruelest shit in this movie. Okay, everything else is not something you're likely to experience. However, locking somebody out in that cold, you should be fucking shot. Sorry, we haven't gotten there yet, but fucking what the hell?
Like negative 40, 50 degrees. He even says in 6 hours it's going to be negative 100 degrees.
No,
just mind-blowing temperatures. I was trying to explain to my son negative temperatures. Because he's he's 6, so he thinks 0 is as low as you can go. And I was telling him, no, the freezer, I said, it's way, way, way colder than that. I was telling him how you can throw boiling water in the air and it would, be ice before it hit the ground. He's like, well, what if you throw a fish in the air? Would it be frozen before it hit the ground? And I was like, well, fish is a little more complex to freeze than water. But we're getting off track. I was like, it's really cold here. And to lock somebody out in that, like when I get in here and I thaw out, we're going to have a fight to the death because that's what almost happened to me when you lock my ass outside.
Yeah.
But Blair, don't forget, he has his oatmeal to keep him warm out there.
That's right.
Yeah, he's butt naked inside that little.
Right. A lot of people don't know there's a deleted scene where he eats 8 bowls of oatmeal that are steaming hot to make himself hot from the inside.
And he's like,
right before they put him in the shed. He's actually taking his shirt off out there. It's like a sauna. He's like a Swedish guy.
He's butt naked. Everywhere he steps, the ice melts. He's out there cooking.
Right. This was the first movie where Wilford Brimley did rear nudity. He had that butt shot, that classy 80s butt shot.
I saw that ship out.
That's where they got the idea in Universal Soldier, where Van Damme had to be put in a bathtub full of ice because he was overheating. They got it from Wilford Brimley. He had the 8 bowls of oatmeal.
Right.
That take your temperature up to 100 plus.
Hey,
steady for about 8 hours.
It's the right thing to do and a tasty way to do it.
Can I get that on my headstone?
Right.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
They go out to talk to him. I love that there's a fucking noose hanging behind him. You can barely see it coming out of his chin. But there's just casually a noose in here.
Hey, in case if it gets too much, string it up.
In case he loses too many games of solitaire in a row.
Yeah, in case of emergency, break news. Yeah, man. Then and Wilford Brimley, he's in there chilling. That's a man's man right there. He's up. There's an alien on the loose. He's by himself, and that man is eating chili out of a can with no hat on. I love Wilford Brimley. He's like, I'd like to come back. He wants to come back inside. He's sick of being by himself. He's hearing strange things and shit out there. He wants to come back. And in the middle of his sentence, Kurt Russell closes the door in his face. You're staying out here.
Well, I mean, that's to me, that is where he's turned, right? Like, I look at it and it's like, I mean, where people were talking about, like, when does he turn? Well, we already know he's up to something a little bit more complicated that takes time. We'll get to that. But that is the point at which where you see the noose. That's when I think he was aware it's over, or, like, I'm going to have to kill myself. And then it's like, now he's taken over. And he's like, I feel much better now. You guys want to play Parcheesi?
Yeah.
What?
I'm doing way better. It's like, dude, now we got to worry about not only you being a fucking alien, but you destroyed half of the damn complex. So that's 2 strikes, man. We can't let you back in. And how real is that news? Because from another angle, you see it from Kurt Russell's point of view, where he's looking in the room. That noose is prominent, and even Wilford Brimley's not even tripping. There's a noose 6 inches away from him, but that's how real it is. If it gets to the point you know you're going to turn, put that rope around your neck and kill yourself.
Right. Right. Yeah. He's asking to come back inside, but if I'm Mac and Mac's beard, let's hope so. I'm like, hey, if you do unload your 38 snub nose at the Friends, you probably can't come back inside.
Yeah.
That's the deal breaker. That's the deal
frowned
breaker.
upon. Yeah.
Yeah. So
we can't chance it. What if this?
I don't know. Am I crazy? I don't want to be out of line, but I just feel like that's a deal breaker. So.
No, man. Once you've emptied your pistol in our direction, we can't let you back in. Sorry. Right. You're gonna have to eat over there by yourself.
Yeah. All right. So Puss and Gary are tied up, and we still don't know what's what, who's who. Things are getting spookier by the minute. And this guy looks like Mike Golick, who played for like the Jets and stuff. He was on the ESPN.
Yeah. He's
the guy in the sweater. Yeah. And he hasn't had a big role in this movie to this point. You know what I mean? He's kind of been in the shadows.
But he's kind of an 80s, 90s character actor too. Right. Like if you need some asshole cop who's corrupt, that's your guy right there. That's the part.
I'll be honest.
Well,
if I know I'm in this movie, like in theory, if we break the fourth wall, he's the first dude I shoot. I'm like, that fucking sweater is totally about throwing us off.
Right. And that scene after this where he's in the room, that right there where he's looking out the window. Again, the blue, beautiful, but that's where he has his stomach pains and shit.
Right.
So like, we know you're infected for sure, motherfucker.
Right. He grabs his stomach like he's the one that had all the beans. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
he's cramping up.
Something might be up with this dude. And Knowles comes back, but he doesn't come back with Mac. Mac is out there.
Comes back alone.
And why did he leave Mac out there? What happened with Mac? I don't remember why he came back without him. What did
he said that he said that Mac while Mac wasn't looking, he found a shirt because somebody else found it earlier.
Oh.
They found that shirt and it said McCready on it. And then he found it again. Oh, because was it? Anyway,
he found a scrap of clothing that said McCready on it. So he assumes the alien affected him, ripped his clothes off, and that's why he found that. That's right.
He bolts back to the compound by himself and explains that to him. And you can see right there on the left-hand side, you got a young Keith David ready to flame throw his face off if necessary. Right. And so they hear him break the window. They hear Kurt Russell break the window, coming back in. He's going through the door with an axe, and he's going to go in there with a flamethrower and basically torch McCready because, we found the shirt. We're all on edge anyway. You just broke back in like a psycho. So we're going to kick this door open and, get that body temperature up.
Oh, I can feel this picture looking at it. I went to the University of Northern Colorado, class of 2004, and it doesn't get too cold in Greeley. People think Colorado's a really cold, snowy place. Nobody lives in the mountains. Everybody lives on the east side of the mountains on the Front Range. It's all farm, flat plains. And it doesn't get too cold. It only snows a couple times a year. But I remember walking to art class one day, and it was negative 19 degrees. I was getting ice crystals in my eyelashes, and my eyes were like hurting because the air was so cold. I got back in my car and went home. I was like, screw it. I'm not going to class. So I'm looking at this beard. I'm like, I've been there.
I know you got some horror stories on the East Coast.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We do. And there's just a level of cold that just it turns your brain off, and that's the other. It just does. Like you go into this, and it's the weirdest sort of thing. But you think about, when you're cold and you can't get warm. We had that major storm that knocked out power here for 2 weeks. I'll never forget. It was freezing in our house, so we were terrified. We had like the water running. We were terrified the pipes in the house were going to bust. But I had 2 little kids at that point, and this is one of the worst things ever. We pulled her up with us, but when the fire went out in the house, she woke up crying from how cold she was, but she was still half asleep. And we went, "This is too effing cold."
Damn.
And that's what happens, man. You lose power. These guys are burning their meal ticket, so to speak. These
Yeah,
guys are burning their fuel, and they're getting closer and closer to the point of no return, no matter what. And I think they're fighting it. Someone said, why didn't they just all take themselves out, so to speak? And I think the thing is that they're because this movie happens at such a fast clip. Think of how much they're having to process quickly. And Wilford was unique. He was able to process it quickly and still couldn't avoid what he knew was inevitable. Like, it didn't matter to him. He was like going, there's no way we're going to avoid this. And it's amazing.
A quick story. I moved to Buffalo, New York after I got out of the Navy. It was July 3rd. And so buddy of mine was from Buffalo. He's like, oh, come up there with me. We'll get work. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, let's do it. So we get up there and everything. And we go around. He's showing me around and everything. I'm meeting his friends and all this kind of stuff. And we go to one friend's house. And I look up to, it was a 2-story house. And I look up at the second floor. And I was like, that looks like a front door on your second floor. And then I look around and damn near every house around it. Why do you guys got a replica of your front door basically right above it? And they said, oh, that's for when the snow gets so high, you can still walk outside of your house. I said, I'm sorry. What the fuck did you just say? Because I've grown up in California. My experience with snow was on postcards and, stories. I'd never been there. But I'm like, wait a minute. You guys have a door on your second floor so you can get out? Nah, man, this ain't for me. Let me get back to the West Coast real quick.
Real quick to the other end of the spectrum, about 3 hours from San Diego. I always drive through Baker, California on my way to Las Vegas.
Warm.
Has the world's largest thermometer. And I was in the hottest weather. What am I talking about? Hottest weather. The hottest weather I've ever been in. I went back to that. I got out of my car. And it was 122 degrees.
No.
It was so hot that it was funny. I was with my friend Nick, another artist. I just turned, we just like looked at each other, both started laughing. Like, this doesn't even seem real. It was insane. So, it was, I like Baker. It's a weird it's one of those places in the middle of the desert. You see that aerial picture there? You're kind of like, why does this place exist? It must have been mining or military. Where do people go?
Where do people go for food and work? Because
they got a Jack in the Box.
Yes. Well, everybody's.
To be fair, it's a Shell gas station Jack in the Box, literally at the north end. There's a great restaurant there in Baker in the center of town called the Mad Greek, and it's a family-owned Greek restaurant, and they have shawarma sandwiches, that juicy meat off the the spinner. And it's so popular with Southern Californians going to Vegas. They opened one in Vegas, and they opened one in Prim, Nevada, the Mad Greek. I love that. We would stop in Baker to get those sandwiches. So, it's California, everyone.
This past summer here where I live, it got 118 for a day. Ooh. And that's when it's so hot. Number one, you don't go outside. Nope. And number two, if you drive somewhere, the AC is not as cold as it normally is. It's crazy. It was hot as shit.
Oh, man. Oh, go ahead, Sean. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say we legit got to our first legit food conversation. This is the longest it's ever been.
Shame.
What the hell happened?
That's true.
I thought this used to be a professional outfit.
No, it's the face mane and stuff from Kurt.
Right.
It is. Yeah, we're all thinking about Kurt.
I do like how hardcore everyone is getting. You got Keith David staring him down with a flamethrower, and if you can't tell what that yellow bundle with electric tape is, guys, that's
you don't know what
dynamite. That's dynamite, and Kurt Russell's like, I'll blow
this flare in his other hand.
Right.
Yep.
That's that pinkish kind of glow from his face. That's from the flare he has in his left hand. And he says, fuck it. You guys take another step. We all go. Because there's like probably 8 sticks of dynamite right there. So that's enough to take everybody out. And then so they try to jump him for a second. He like throws a couple guys off and then he shows him the dynamite. But I thought he fell on something and it stabbed him or something. Because the guy just falls back like that and he's fucking not breathing. Yeah. But they don't know that he's harboring.
They thought he had a heart attack. So Sunglasses and Doc start working on him. They get the electro pads and there's CPR and great special effect here. He's doing the electro, clear and shocking him. And about the third time he does it, a big mouth opens.
Yeah, his hands just fall inside.
Right.
Just like you see here into his torso.
Yeah. Chomps him off.
Yeah, actually, it's a mouth. It closes and bites both of his arms off. So he pulls these two stumps out. Very Fist of the North Star. Pulls these two stumps out, and he's like, ah! There's blood squirting everywhere, and he falls back armless. And then this dude turns into, that thing, that little version of him, that spider.
That's growing inside.
Yeah, looks like a spider and a dick had a baby, and it's like on the ceiling with that evil little face. This shit's great, and it doesn't look too corny. Like this looks good.
It works.
And then, the remedy that they know has been working. They hit him with the flamethrower right there on the table. Everything's cooking, and then something else happens. Yeah, there he goes with that heat treated.
Uh-huh.
And then so they think, all right, cool, we got him. He's dead, but not quite. There are a little more that came to it after this.
I want to imagine Odin Dasko's comment. Saw this at 4 or 5 with my dad at the drive-in. Fell asleep and woke up to this scene. I want to imagine that he fell asleep. I want to imagine he only saw the dog at the beginning running and then fell asleep. and then his little 5-year-old eyes.
What the? Somebody sleep for a week.
We got a question that is in your wheelhouse, Shanth. No, not that. The chat moves.
Yeah, that's my wheelhouse.
Spider dick. This summer, a dick and an arachnid have a baby.
Things are
With
about
Jericho Green as Clams Casino. Sorry, it's gonna happen, man.
Things are about to get really hard. Spider Dick, only in theater.
Yeah.
Watch out for this little 8-legged freak.
Yeah. Sorry, what was the question?
Someone was asking about who did the VFX for the thing. The lead guy was the guy that you really admire, that Rob Bottin guy. But do you have anything you'd like to add? I know you mentioned him before and you've talked about him before.
Perfect example. When bureaucrats take over any industry, what you're going to witness, and Gabe and I both are aware of this in terms of our specific profession that we did, which is you're going to see bureaucrats come in and drive out the people with skill and the ability at craft. That's the first move they make. They don't, funny enough, pick off from the lower tier of skilled guys. As we've seen in comics with Ethan Van Sciver, they go after people who are major forces in the financial and creative, industry. So they don't go after. It's a common mistake when people say, "Why are they going after?" Wow, the industry turned on, let's say hypothetically, Johnny Depp really fast because he was one of the highest paid, biggest stars. It's in your interest if you're trying to overturn a meritocracy,
right,
to go after somebody that is in so many instances unassailable for the things that you are accusing them of. And so Rob Bottin and all of these great special effects guys were expensive. They had skills these people didn't have, and they said, we need time. And for a while during these films, they were working with directors who gave them time and gave them the ability to do it. And then they started to say, well, couldn't you do it faster? They make it about speed. Can you make, can you make this amazing steak as fast as we can press out a McRib? So they make it about a competition that's not even remotely, we're not comparing the same thing. And so what ended up happening is when they saw CG, it was their chance to make a collective talent where they were the people you were noticing. The bureaucrats running the financial aspect of everybody getting their paycheck were who you noticed. And it was a collectivist special effects thing. So Ray Harryhausen wasn't going to cost you money. Willis O'Brien wasn't going to cost you money. Rick Baker, because you could say, Rick, if you don't speed up, we'll CG it. They started using it as a verb. We'll do it in post. And audiences, why this show is so important is because audiences, we need to introduce people to when shit was good or we have no lighthouse for moving forward. This activity by committee is crap. Jericho does not need a team of people working switchboards to handle his business. He flicks on, the camera, he goes live and he talks. He's the talent, he's the manager, he's the person who does everything. That's what the fuck they're afraid of.
Yeah, very well said.
100%.
Yeah, they do go after the big dogs. One I always like to say is one of the greatest athletes of all time. He was a star football player, won multiple Super Bowls. star baseball player at the same
Yep.
time. Think about that.
Yep.
And he always said about the press criticizing him or anyone, he said, they don't boo nobodies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
That's true.
really think about the politics of resentment when they start, booing a somebody like him. So you're right on there, Sean. You're right on.
And I think it's cool that he worked on RoboCop and his look. And if you take the BO and his last name is Robo, so that's pretty cool.
Oh,
Right?
yeah,
And
man.
look at
Yeah,
how
I
young
see-
he is. He's only.
I see why he. Sorry, go ahead, man.
Well, I was going to say he's only 63 now, so he was like in his 20s doing this stuff.
Yeah.
He was a
They were
kid.
kids.
Yeah, you see why he picked Kurt Russell. Look at that hair.
I know. Someone in the chat said, "Look at his hair; it's glorious."
It's beautiful.
yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
But this thing, that shit was awesome to see that.
Yeah.
Look, and even it has the same hair as him, but
Right.
it's just that shit was fucked up. But they go ahead and give him the heat treatment, but that's not quite it. That's not quite it. It shows
rancid shit.
so
Right. So this guy, this dead, he's transforming into the monster. This comes out of his stomach with the head and the shaft and the legs, but then his real head falls off. The real head
slowly.
here, it oozes off the back of
Yeah.
the medical table and then makes its escape by throwing out like a tongue lash and like
Oof.
going, oh, it's so awful, guys.
Yeah. Then it turns into that arachnid crab leg
Right.
thing right there, and it's kind of hiding out. They're coming in the room. He says, "Let him cook for a little bit." The guy set him on fire. Kurt Russell's like, "Hold on a second, let this motherfucker marinate." Because the first one that they set on fire inside the dog pen, they set him on fire, and then immediately those guys came in and put him out, which I thought was weird. But now he tells them, "Hey, back up, let this thing marinate." And so he says, "All right, go ahead." They come in, they start, using the fire extinguishers, putting him out. But nobody comes all the way around the table to where this little thing is hiding under the desk. So I'm thinking, shit, it's not over yet. Like this little bastard's gonna get away, and affect somebody else. But it tries. That's how it's also very intelligent. It tries to sneak out, like slowly tiptoe out of the door behind Kurt Russell and a couple of the other dudes, and they all like do that famous, slowly turn around, all three of them at the same time. And one of them says, like, "You got to be shitting me, or you got to be fucking kidding me." And then he gives his ass the heat treatment too.
Right. You got to be fucking kidding
Yeah,
me. Who
that's
says it? Is it Charles?
I think is it the stoner guy? I think it's
Oh,
the
it's
stoner guy.
Palmer. It's Palmer,
Yeah.
the stoner. Yeah.
You got to be fucking kidding me, because that's what we all would have said in that
Amen.
situation. Some of us probably said it out loud to the TV, but he thought he was going to get away, and he was like, "No, we still got some of this napalm juice for your ass too."
All right. Oh goodness.
Yeah, that shit was fucked up. His head came off, like you said, it oozed off. Like it slowly, the skin came apart and it fell on the ground and wasn't quite done living.
Right. So they meet back in the room where they have those guys kind of morphine injected to keep them quiet and tied up. Gary and Puss are in there, and it starts to get heated again. It starts to get heated again.
Yeah, they're all kind of, moving in on Kurt Russell. And so he turns around to address one of the other guys, and Puss comes up behind him with a scalpel because they were kind of surrounding Kurt Russell earlier in the medical room. And so he took a scalpel off the little table. And when Kurt Russell turned around, Puss goes to try to stab him. Kurt Russell turns around, gives him one to his forehead, that revolver that the commander had. And then later, one of them tells him, "Oh, so you're a murderer." He wasn't an alien because they were testing their blood. And I'm like, no, he's not, because the dude was trying to stab him with a scalpel.
Right.
If I got a gun in my hand and I turn around and see you're trying to stab me with a sharpened piece of metal, you're getting that business. What are you talking about, murderer? The guy's gonna fucking kill him.
Someone asked me a direct question in the chat. Let me address it real quick. The horror of one. Gabe, did you take a long time to become an artist and get noticed? I started drawing when I don't remember. I literally started drawing like at 3 years old or something. I never quit. I decided to become a comic book artist when I was 13 and work for Jim Lee. And I worked on that forever. I ran into one of Jim Lee's employees because his studio was here in San Diego. And I ran into him. He lived 3 doors down from me when I was in high school. Long story short, I go to college. I get freelance jobs for little companies. Jim Lee hired me when I was 29 years old. So I did exactly what I set out to do. God bless me. And so, from age 13 to 29, that's how long it took to get to Jim Lee. I started as a professional artist in 2000. So that would have made me 22 years old. So, So it takes as long as it takes. But it's worth it, because here's what I tell everyone about achievement and doing any goal that you want to do. Anything one man can do, any other man can do. It's absolutely true. Don't listen to anyone that tells you it isn't true. And here's all it takes is time. That's all you need is time and consistency. And I'll tell you this, if you want to back down and you don't want to do it, remember, the time is going to pass anyway. So if you have a goal that's going to take you 5 years, those 5 years are happening no matter what. So 5 years from now, you can have the same thing you have now, or you could build something. Think about it that way. Time's going to pass anyway. You might as well try it. So there you go. So back to the show. Oh, wait, hold on. Plus 5-ush for $2. Thank you. The effing kidding me wasn't in the script. That was life. Oh, really? That's all.
That doesn't shock me.
That's just like when the hooker asked Steven Seagal, "Hey, baby, you want to fuck?" And that was not in the movie, and he just starts cracking up.
Genius, man.
He was like, "You hear what she told me? What she said, man? What she said?" And he just drove off. He was fucking cracking up. There's no way you could fake that laugh. I don't know. That must have been a real hooker where they said, "Hey, when he drives by, just say something to him." And she was like, "Say what I always say."
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I remember the lady that played like the gross, crooked teeth, horrible blonde perm hooker on Breaking Bad. I remember watching an interview with her, and she said she was playing a hooker in the movie, like standing on the corner there in Albuquerque, and a real guy came up to her to like proposition her. And she was acting for like a long shot on the TV show. I guess he didn't see the cameras or whatever. And she said someone actually asked her, how much.
Yeah.
So,
How much, girl?
Nice to know. You can still get it done.
right. Yeah.
How much do you want me to pay you to give you herpes? You never know. I never put it that way.
She's I throw in the herpes for free.
You got to pay for the gonorrhea, but the herpes, that's on the house.
No, thank you. So Matt comes up with the plan here. Since they don't have the blood bags from the fridge, they're going to take a sample from the remaining people. And then he figures this monster, it's a monster on like a cellular level. Each little bit of it is like a consciousness or wants to fight to survive. So his theory is you put the blood in a petri dish, you label it. This is, Palmer sample, Gary sample, null sample. And he's going to heat a wire with the blowtorch and then touch the blood. If it's the alien blood, it'll freak out and try and do something. If it's human blood, it'll just sizzle. It'll just sizzle. Yep. Yeah. So let's see how that goes real quick. Plus 5-ush, $2. Thank you. Needed inspiration for my art. Thank you for that 5-year story. The time, all of you who can hear the sound of my voice, the time is going to pass anyway. Jericho, how many years ago did you start doing your little videos on YouTube from your car? And now you see the great thing it's grown into. How many years ago was that when you started?
I started July of 2018.
Right.
So we're going on 4.5 years.
Right.
But I've been honing my craft since I was a kid, since elementary school, getting sent to the principal's office for disrupting the class. That was always in the comments of my report card, even no matter what my grade was, student disrupts class. So that was my skill. That was my art that I practiced every day. And now, it's keeping the lights on.
You can't control opportunities in life, guys. You can't control a job coming open. You can only control being prepared for it. Success is hard work meets opportunity. So if you're working for years and you're not getting a payoff, that's awesome. That's how it's supposed to be. And then one day you're coloring freelance comic books for a small independent publisher millionaire out of Bermuda, and you're up at 3 a.m. and you finish your work and you want to go to bed, and you're checking your favorite artist Jim Lee's blog back when everyone used Blogger. And he says, we're hiring a staff colorist at DC Comics. You look at the black and white Superman drawing, you're like, fuck, it's 3 a.m. I don't want to color this. But now your opportunity is open. And you've been working on color work since you were like 12 years old, painting Warhammer models, coloring comic books. And now you have the skills because you've been working for years at this thing. And this door opens. And then they shut. And then they open. And they shut. You can't control the doors, but you can be ready for them. And that's why you just got to be working. And look at Jericho. He's built something great for himself on YouTube. The time went by anyway. If he didn't pursue that, sacrifice, blood, sweat, tears, it hasn't been easy, Jericho, to do YouTube. That's hard work. It's a second career for me and Sean. It's a lot of work to do this, guys. And but the time went by anyway from 2018 to now, right, Jericho? And now you have some because you worked your ass off for it. So all of you out there, you hear the sound of my voice. I promise you it's true. Whatever you want, work on it, and the time will pass, and then you will have it. It's a system. It'll work. So,
Truth.
yeah. So let's move. So we're going to do the blood test. McCready, being the boss that he is, making up tests, killing aliens, get ready to blow himself up with dynamite. Won't this guy,
Bless him.
in the first meeting of McCready, he kills an innocent computer. He just dumps whiskey on the hard
dumps
drive.
whiskey on the rocks inside of the computer, guys. Like, fuck this thing.
Right.
Because it beat him. It checkmated him. He's playing chess. It checkmated him, so he destroyed the computer. I love it.
Right. So they start testing blood and finding out who's who and what's what. And the first one he tests, the blood like jumps out of the petri dish like a monster when he burns it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And the blood, once it's on the ground, the blood
runs
starts
away.
like, running away.
Yeah.
And so then immediately Stoner dude starts going through his changes.
Right. Yeah. He starts turning into whatever the hell this is.
Yeah, it's like a skeleton thing, like his skin like comes off or something. It's like a skeleton thing. And then one of the best fucking scenes of the movie, it's like transforming. It jumps up on the ceiling, but now Kurt Russell's flamethrower is malfunctioning. I mean, he's been using the thing every 5 minutes, but now it's malfunctioning in this moment of truth. And so it falls off the ceiling and then lands in front of Sunglasses and then picks Sunglasses up. And his head turns into like this giant mouth with, fucking 6-inch teeth. And he picks him up and basically swallows his head into his mouth. And so I'm thinking, this dude's head is getting smashed. There's going to be brains everywhere. So Kurt Russell lights his ass on fire. He throws Sunglasses. And it turns out Sunglasses is just like covered in fucking goo. His head's still intact, basically. Right. But then he starts going through his changes. And Kurt Russell got to light his ass up too.
Right. Oh, and then Real Sean Crummell, he brings up something great. This was at least empathetically, to make up a word, a scary Gary here freaking out as Palmer changes. And he's telling them, untie me.
Him and Keith David.
They can't untie him because they're busy trying to like, what do we got to do to this thing? And that's a real, like, if you imagine yourself in that scenario, freaky as hell. So thank you.
Because the flamethrower is not working. So every second this thing's changing into something else and could potentially turn around and attack them too. So they're shitting bricks.
Right.
Well, you want Keith David to be losing his shit in this scene after how you've built him up. Much like when you see Wilford Brimley lose his shit. You go, if these two lose their shit, we're screwed, right? Because these guys are the people who are ice cold, like looking at things. Like Wilford Brimley is doing an autopsy on a person crossed with pasta. And he's keeping his calm. Keith David is like, doesn't even flinch for a minute, like in all this sort of stuff. He's kind of like you say, turns the corner, sees this thing, surveys the scene before he fires, and now he's like, get me out of here. Like, it's like, oh shit, man.
Yeah, and this shit's awesome. So the first monster, the stoner dude that turns into a monster, he's on fire. He runs through the wall outside, and he's completely engulfed in flames. So he falls to his knees, falls face down. He's overcome by the flames. And then Kurt Russell takes a stick of dynamite and throws it on top of him, which immediately is set off by the fire. Boom, blows his ass.
Hey, you forgot something, jackass.
Hey, look, guys, he's over there. And he's over there, and over there, and fucking over there.
How do you put one body in 5 holes?
Like this.
He threw the dynamite out there and blew his ass apart. And then Sunglasses still in the corner, like making these little like squeaky, dying, screaming alien sounds.
Yeah, the body horror in this movie is well done.
Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah. Sean Crummell.
Really good.
A person crossed with pasta, you're killing himself. It's a little bit of pasta fajoule.
Hey, pasta people. It's a new TV show I'm producing. It's called Pasta People.
When you hear your family.
I got your endless breadstick right here.
I'm seeing Jericho with breadstick nunchucks. I've got this movie coming together.
It's coming together.
I want to do an Olive Garden fight scene where Jericho doesn't get out of his chair. Like that's Seagal.
Like Seagal, that'll be our Seagal
He's
tribute.
got breadsticks taken down.
Just whooping people's asses with fucking
That's what we'll
breadstick
do.
and
God, that
Romano.
looks cold.
Son of Olive Garden, son of the garden. That's what I have to
That's
call
right.
it. With that Asian like flute sound over it.
Yep.
The one you guys ever know who Michael Winslow is? The sound
Right.
effects guy from
Police
Police Academy. But
Yep.
there's a bit that he does about an Asian Western, and he does that flute sound. I'm not even going to try to butcher it, but that shit sounds just like the Asian flute. He killed it. But yeah, it would definitely have to have that sound to it. Son of the Garden.
Oh, that's funny.
Dude, yeah, look that shit up sometimes. It's hilarious. The guy, I mean, you almost want to go up on stage and like check him for a sound device. That dude is he's that good.
No, he's incredible, man. I remember watching, news stories they were doing on him around that time, because then he was in Spaceballs and he was doing all this stuff, and you can't believe what this guy is able to do. But this is a perfect example of it. What we did oftentimes in the 80s was showcase skill. We built movies around skill, and the problem with skilled people, and this is the difference between early Marvel movies, which start with Robert Downey Jr., a once in a generation actor who has all of the issues he's had, but you can't deny his ability to be a movie star and draw audiences in. Same thing goes with Johnny Depp, right? And the idea, what these people's dream is to build something up on the backs of these people. And then on top of that, then take it away and put in people they can replace. And the people they can replace think, oh, I'm a star. They're just pawns in this. Here you go. Let's have it.
I just sent you guys in the text thread, the one where he does the Chinese movie sounds. Awesome.
Real quick, Plafivash, recommend anime film Lily Cat. Think Alien and Thing. Ooh,
awesome. Sounds good.
Donkey Honky the male monkey. It's got to be monkey. Donkey Honky the male monkey. It's spaghetti. I fucked it up. It's spaghetti Eddie over there.
Over there. And over there.
Here's your buddy Michael Winslow doing a whole lot of love with this guy playing guitar. I don't know if there's like European TV or something. I saw this just the other day. I think it's amazing. Watch
and his Jimi Hendrix too. Star Spangled Banner is fucking crazy.
For those of you that don't know, Michael Winslow can like basically make any sound effect with his mouth. It's quite amazing.
What do you want to do? Led Zeppelin. You want to do the original artist key of E? Yeah. All right. That's it.
Dude. Hearing that echo sound effect, the
That is
echo and
terrifying.
everything.
How?
You probably already got it. I've got Winslow.
Michael Winslow Chinese movie.
I have it. Yeah, go share my screen. And
you have it? What do you got?
I have it right here. So your volume's up. Tell me if you guys can hear it. Here you go.
Okay.
Scratch and Sniff Productions present.
Yep.
Kung Stooge Theater. Presenting Clint Eastwood. Gregory Hines is the horse.
Rest in peace.
R.I.P.
Also starring Bruce Lee. Also starring Mr. T. Hey, turn that music off, fool. I'll bust your head. In the Kung Stooge comedy saga, The Good, the Bad, and the Dragon. Oh.
Fuck does he
Ouch.
do that?
In the African jungles of China. Cheap movie. Hey, Clint. Yeah. You mind if I ask you a question? Yeah, go ahead. Hey, man, how come you always look like that? Why you always look like that? I gotta go to the bathroom. Look, there's a small town over there. Let's go. All right.
It's just amazing. I don't know how much more of this we should do though, because
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but just
I don't want YouTube to watch this. I don't think they will. But
the sound
There you
effects, the echo,
amazing, amazing.
and he's funny, and he also has to
Right.
be funny. I mean, that dude.
Amazing.
Just how, and like you were saying, Sean, people would bring it, man. People were talented, and we still have it, but it's not endorsed so much. There's so much
It's not
more of the culture.
celebrated.
Right. There's that culture of resentment, like, oh, you're showing off because you're good at something. Like, damn it, I worked for this.
Nobody has to take the time to get that good anymore.
Right. Scotty asked for $1.99. Breadsticks, all you can eat. Beats bad guys.
They call him Jericho Greenlight. I'm telling you, every feature film.
Let's go, guys.
Hey, did you guys see the new Clams Casino movie? He really
Yes,
beat the
exactly.
shit out of them guys.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, come here. I'm gonna beat your fucking ass.
Who's
Oh,
this
good.
cop? It's Clams Casino. Clams Casino. What this is gonna be? It's gonna be your at you.
Oh my goodness. All right, so they
All
go
right.
out to the suicide shed. Blair is not there. He has run out of oatmeal
Blair is
and he's
gone.
on his way to the store to get more Quaker oats.
And they said the door, what's his name? Why can't I think of his name? Nall. He says that the door, how did he get out? Because the door was bolted from the outside. So
Right.
where in the hell did Wilford Brimley go?
But then they discover this trap door in the floor of the shed.
You little
And there's
shit.
also a humongous pathway down here and
Yeah.
all kinds of equipment. So how long was he out here? Like
And how was he able to do all of that? It's like he was out there for an afternoon.
this is like one day, this movie, right?
Yeah, he hasn't been out there for days. Even if he was out there for a month, how in the hell did he dig that tunnel and acquire all those parts to assemble that? It's almost
what
like
it
he
is?
has.
It's that supercomputer he had, the ColecoVision.
No, man,
that gave him-
you're right.
What was it?
Well, no, but you're right. I'm just saying when we're looking at this, guys, this is like when you're in one of those situations, the dawning horror of how deep the shit you're in is. Do you get what I'm saying?
It's a
Yeah.
good metaphor.
They go in there and it's like going, how deep is that shit? It's to boot level next step to your neck. Like that's basically what happened. They go in there and they go, so these things can assimilate us fast. They can conceal themselves. We try to kill them. They can split up into multiples, but as many parts as we chop them into, that's going to be more people. And on top of that, they can craft their technology out of our technology.
Right.
They can make something that if we all die and one of those things is alive, they can take whatever scraps are left behind and build something to fly themselves to the mainland. Now
Right.
that is terrifying.
And again with the colors, the flares are making everything pink in
Right.
there on the white snow. And if you go, is it back one? That picture of him? No, maybe up one. Yeah, that one. That's what I was telling you about earlier. The blue, the pink, the way
Right.
Yep.
his eye looks. That's just a
Yeah.
good shot there.
There's a nickname for that nowadays that's supposed to be like derogatory towards social justice warriors in comics, and I'm not making this up. This is like a thing in our business, calling this color scheme bisexual lighting, using the magenta and like the indigo, And I think it's a great look, but I've heard people call it that, like making fun of stuff.
But this is the thing, though, right? This is why I call bullshit on that with all these folks. Is that the purpose of all of this stuff is to take something that is good, it's effective, it's an aesthetic, and politicize it, because they can't look at the people who are infected with this disease of politics can't look at anything as apolitical. And I hate to further, embarrass my distinguished colleague to the north, but I was watching your review of a recent documentary film. And what is shocking and what makes your show so effective and makes what you do so effective, and I was actually telling my wife about this today, was how nuanced your assessment of it was. How you talked about things you didn't know that you learned from the documentary, how you talked about how you had a new understanding of certain people. That's the thing. It wasn't a political analysis of it. It was an actual, I'm an intelligent man talking about a particular subject. My mind is open to learn and I understand what I know, but I'm open to new information. That's what makes it effective. And so when you look at everything, and even more terrifying, and you see yourself, right? Or you see your cause, right? They say to a hammer, everything's a nail. That's all it is. That's all it is.
Everything's a claim.
Thank you.
That's right. Yeah, and it was a great video, Jericho. It was a damn good
Appreciate
video.
that, man. Thank you very much.
I just want to show. It reminded me of this really quick. This lighting here. This is the Wonder Woman 2020 annual that I did for DC Comics like 2 years ago, and I like using that magenta and blue. And this isn't so much, but it's a great combination. You know what I mean? To push those colors. And it's a lot of I loved working with this guy. What's his name? Brazilian kid, Jackson Herbert. He's a great illustrator, and I did all the digital color painting in this. So, but yeah, this shot right here it kind of reminded me a little bit of this shot right here. So
it's our art. It's the way we do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So they've come to this horrible realization that Quaker Oats is now turned into an alien rocket engineer.
Yeah, he's trying to get the hell out of here.
If this was a Marvel movie, I love playing this game. He would say, I guess it is rocket science. And that's what he's saying to Knowles right here. And then he's like, you crazy white boy. That's what they would have him say nowadays.
Man, you white people. Man, let me tell you, there's some fucking movie, some Marlon Wayans movie. It's Marlon Wayans and the little black girl, the black character's little sister from Stranger Things. And he's playing the dad, he's the daughter, and they're moving out to this town, this quaint little town. And right off the bat is the white privilege jokes, and everything's white people. The mayor comes up to him and she's like, "Oh, you guys must be the so-and-sos," because it's a real small town. And he mumbles to his wife, kind of like speaking out of the side of his mouth like one of the Marx brothers. He's like, why is this crazy? How does this crazy white lady know our name? Like everything was white people. Right. Don't touch a black man's this and white man, you white people. It's like, dude, stop with that shit. It just weighed down the whole movie. We couldn't even finish it. Even my 6-year-old son, he likes the worst movies ever made. He was like, Dad, I don't know, when your kids, when you're little kids, especially little boys, they start like rolling around on the couch or playing with other shit. Like they've definitely, lost interest. It was just the weakest low-hanging fruit. It's rotten low-hanging fruit. And they just went for it every time. I was like, dude, come on. Everybody can do the white people, black people,
look at all the white people creating the internet and curing diseases and inventing the printing press. All these.
And bringing your ass over here. If we're going to keep it real, bringing your ass over here.
Look at them building all these universities and doing all this science.
Whenever I hear stuff like that, though, whenever I hear people saying stuff like that, I go, okay, so officially you have nothing about yourself for the world to talk about. That's basically, to me, that's the worst. It's the worst way to portray a character, because it's basically we have no interest. Think about this. Think about how many people you know of any group, and then within that group, how many fathers you know, and then within those group of people, how different all those fathers are. You mean to tell me you can't create an original or interesting or compelling father-daughter relationship, without reducing it to this? Like, this is, it's the whole thing then becomes about the environment that they're observing and the politics of the director, and not about the characters who were supposed to be the stars of this. It's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, it really it had potential to be a good movie, and they shit all over it.
Yep.
My daughter's in the chat. Dad, tell them about when you took us to see The Jungle Book. Okay, well, my parents.
Hold on. First of all, congratulations to her.
Right.
Absolutely. Congratulations, Vinny.
Congratulations.
Yeah. I'll be a grandfather in about 5 weeks.
Welcome to the club, young lady.
This girl, my daughter, she went and got a 3D ultrasound today, and they gave her some of the stats. The granddaughter, her legs are in the 90th percentile, because you remember I'm 6'4". I'm very tall. My grandmother was 6'4". Her arms are in the 87th. So I text my daughter back. I said, I love the WNBA. You know? And then my wife roasts me. She's like, name your 3 favorite teams, because no one can name the players of the teams.
Nope.
But I said Mercury, Liberty, and Sparks. I did actually know 3 teams. And
right.
but yeah, taking my kids to the movies. I didn't get taken to the movies as a kid. I think my mom and dad took me like 3 or 4 my entire childhood. Not bashing them. I just didn't get taken to the movies. I took my kids to a million movies. I'm buying the giant popcorn, 2 sodas, hot dog, nachos. I'm giving them the movie experience, because I figure I'm going to take them to 20, 30 movies in their childhood, and then that's it forever. I might as well do it this way. And I took my kids to the movies too long. They were like, I took them to see Moana. And they were like 18 and 20 or something, or whatever it was, whenever that shit came out. And I'm like sitting there watching another fucking kids movie, and I'm like, I fucking hate these movies so much. And we get in the car, and my kids are like, well, I'm like, what'd you think? I asked them what they think, and they're like, Dad, we're too old for these. like, and I was like, oh my God, I didn't even think about it. You're like out of high school, and I'm taking you to Disney cartoons. Yeah. And I got what she said about the Jungle Book. They hated it. And if you saw the CGI Jungle Book from like 8-9 years ago, it's awful. The acting is terrible by the lead. But I'll never forget taking my son and daughter to see Spirit, Stallion of the Cimarron. It was some beautifully animated story about a stallion in the pioneer days. And I couldn't stand it. It was so dreadfully boring, this movie. We're sitting there. My son is like 3. My daughter's like 5. I don't know how old they are. Around those ages. Young elementary school age. We're sitting there watching. I can't stand this movie. And my son, he's playing with this little R2D2 toy that he had. And we spent all the money, the popcorn, everything, wasting our afternoon at this thing. He turns to me and my wife. He goes, can we go home? I'm bored.
Yeah.
Right in the middle of the fucking movie.
Yeah, let's get out of here, kid.
And I was like, yes, you are correct, sir. So,
and by the way, because you've got this scene up and you were just talking about it, look at the lighting and look at the choices they make in terms of how you see people. Like, it's not like this guy has got any warmer eyes than anybody else, right?
Right.
So they're choosing what you see. Like, this is a character, and makes it all the more awful afterwards. He's the face of youth. Like, the other younger people there are just kind of assholes. This guy is kind of in every person. Like, you see him, he's kind of like, I mean, not completely, but he's kind of like a Norman Rockwell kid in the middle of this flick. And that was one of those ones, like, there were a lot of kills in this movie, and there were stuff that you kind of go, but that one was one that was particularly painful for me when I was watching, because I was like going, he's like the young guy, he's like Lawrence Fishburne in Apocalypse Now. That's the best way I can put it. I don't know if people know this, but Lawrence Fishburne, I believe, was 14 or something ridiculous.
I heard 16, but yeah, I believe 14.
He was a child when he was in that movie, and he seems somewhat mature, obviously, but it was such a symbol of the kids getting sent off, right, and in those situations, and this is a horrible situation, much like that. It's. You're just looking at this kid going, or the medic in Saving Private Ryan, Giovanni Ribisi, is another good example of that. You know what I mean? It's like he's the sort of the baby-faced guy that you're like, oh shit, not him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's something so deep in our souls tragic about like a beautiful young man dying so young. I don't know what it is, but it obviously disturbs us all very much. But that Giovanni Ribisi, or if any of you saw 1917, or was it 1917?
Yes. Oh, yes.
And you see that they're kids, and they're dying. And I don't have Netflix, but I saw a commercial for a brand new version of All Quiet on the Western Front, which is a literary masterpiece. But you know, the boys in it, they're boys, and it's really a sad thing. And Knowles, he's young. You could tell in real life he was like 20 or something when they made this. He's a young guy.
Yeah, very.
And he's playful. He turns the radio on when he's making his ham and eggs in the kitchen. He's cooking everyone food or whatever. And he's just kind of, he's not boisterous or crazy. They would only do that nowadays because he's the black guy, so they have to make him crazy nowadays. But he's got a young man's personality. You know what I mean?
And he's making food, which is we've talked about this on the show a bunch though, but seriously, it's like the person who makes the food, you break bread, this person is, he's a very important member of this team.
Right.
And he's
like innocent, Yeah.
I'm trying to think of Ponytail in The Fugitive, right? Ponytail in The Fugitive, when he goes, and don't let him give you any shit about your ponytail either. Like, you don't want to see something happen to that kid because he's a kid. Like, that's who we're dealing with,
Yeah. Real quick, Scotty asked for $4.99. Thank you, Scotty. Very generous friend. The Thing was the first trans fluid gender LGBTQ alien in a leading role of a major Hollywood film. A true maverick.
Trailblazer.
Salute.
Yep. Thank you. Friend. Thank you for blazing a trail for.
Yes. Yeah. Right. So then they put a bomb down there in the spaceship building dungeon.
Yeah, a whole bundle of it too.
Right. Yeah, a whole bunch. And we get a great 1980s style explosion that just blows the shack to kingdom come, as they say.
Yep.
And,
and if you're into dynamite explosions, hold on tight because you're about to get 15 of them in a row because they go through every room. They drive this tractor. Null drives his tractor through the side of the building because they figure out this thing doesn't want to get out of here anymore. It wants to be frozen again until the rescue team comes in to save him, and then it has another body that it can jump into once they thaw it out because, of course, they're going to be like, oh, shit, this is an alien. We got to mess with it. And then it could just continue from there. So he says, no, we're going to bring down this whole fucking thing on top of him. We're going to make it to where he can't get out of here. We're going to raise the temperature a little bit.
Yeah.
Right.
So they start, and this is almost like the final fight montage. He's driving the tractor through the building. He takes the axe, puts some holes in the tank, lets the gas leak everywhere. And then they go through every room and just he throws a Molotov cocktail in there. He comes with the dynamite, throws it in there. I mean, going down the hall, boom, 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 blowing up each room. Like they're just destroying the whole thing. They're determined to kill this fucker.
And they have to go down underground, I guess, where the generator and tons of fuel is stored because doesn't the creature, the it or whatever, I guess Blair at this point, turn off all the lights? Don't all the lights turn off at the
kills
camp?
the power. Before they do all this, while they're still in the shed, it kills all the power because it goes black, and then those blue lights come on that little path thing they have with the rope. The blue lights come on.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And
So
TK Carter was 25 in this too. Yeah. So the actor we're talking about before. So he's got a young face for 25, but he was, I think, the youngest in the cast, if I'm not mistaken. I looked up everybody else. I think he was the kid of the cast.
Right. So they go down. They're planting their dynamite. They're going to take this whole place out. They don't know where Blair is, but they're all willing to die to take care of this. So you got Knowles, you got Gary, and you've got Mac and the Beard. You got 4 guys left, including the Beard.
4 strong men left.
Right. And they're going to plant dynamite. They're just going to nuke this place to hell. So make sure this thing doesn't freeze itself again for another 1,000 years, or maybe the rescue team or whatever. They're not letting this thing get back to the States. So it's funny. Blair ends up being the main villain, but they're carrying out Blair's plan when he was still human of destroying everything and sacrificing themselves. So I guess in the end, he was right, Yeah. And there's this spooky thing here. They kind of split up a little a la Scooby-Doo. And Gary goes around a corner, and the oatmeal man cometh.
Damn it.
And it's a great, disgusting special effect how he gets him. Do I have a picture of it? Oh, look at that.
Like puts his hand inside his mouth and then spreads his fingers and then almost like stretches his skin and ends up dragging him across the snow. That shit was fucking crazy.
This is disgusting. I think of all the gross things I saw in the movie, there's something about this that grosses me out the most.
You don't know where I mean, Wilford Brimley, can you trust him about your breakfast cereals?
Right.
Yes, but you don't know where his hands are.
Are you ever gonna Are you
all
ever
in
going to
this
look at
mouth.
oatmeal the same way again?
No.
Yeah,
You know?
down goes Gary. It's like, he's
No.
done, man.
Oh, right.
Oh man.
Oh, so
No.
yeah. So Gary
But-
got it. The kid gets it, and it's going to hell. And it's just Mac. It's just Mac and the Super Beast. Now the thing, he's underground like the movie Tremors somehow. I don't know. Kevin Bacon isn't in this, and he's like surging through this underground thing, tearing up the ground.
Mhm.
And and he steals the plunger. Wile E.
Yeah, so you
Coyote
can't
would
set
be
off the
proud of
dynamite.
this move. You know,
Yeah,
he steals,
steals that so they can't set off all the dynamite that they
Right.
just placed carefully, and you can see all the 55-gallon drums of
Right.
kerosene there, so that's going to make a nice big boom. And he snatches that thing, goes right down in the hole.
Oh, and then it comes
And then,
out
yeah.
and it just unleashes itself, and it's howling and groaning. It's
You
got
can
a
see the
little.
face in there if you go back. Yeah, you can
Oh.
still
Yeah,
see
you
it
see
there too
Brim.
on the left. You can see that face
Oh, there's
right
a human
there
face on the left.
behind the mouth.
Right.
And, man,
And then
that's
it's
some
got
sick
this
shit.
little pocket on its neck where a weird dog head comes
So there's
out,
some
and it's
dog
just
left in there.
writhing, and it's awful. It's a great practical effect, though. It holds up. Obviously it looks like a practical effect, but it holds up to me. And the ColecoVision computer being too advanced to do the calculations and the charm of the practical effects and all that. Do you know what this movie has in it? And I'm seeing this through my bias of what I do for a living. This movie has so much comic book in it, it's ridiculous. And I mean that as a compliment. This movie's out there. It's crazy. It is kind of like an old EC comic. And maybe someone in the chat will tell me, oh, it's actually based on an EC comic or something like that.
Yeah.
But it does ring like those old pulp 1940s and 50s comics. It does feel that way to me a bit too. So,
Yeah,
and
that
then
huge-
go
the
ahead.
huge
Sorry.
teeth, the huge teeth and all that stuff. I mean, it's really some scary shit. I can imagine seeing this as a kid. It would scare the shit out of me.
Right. And then Mac, doesn't he give him a bundle of dynamite for dinner? Right?
Yep.
He says,
Or he gives
"Hey."
him one. He gies him one stick.
Oh.
Because
Yeah,
one was lit and it got like knocked out of his hand or some shit.
Right.
So there's like one stick, and then he goes, yeah, fuck you too. And because it's like rah, rah, and all this stuff. And so I guess he interprets that as it saying fuck you to him. He says, yeah, fuck you too. And he throws the one stick and then he takes off out of there. And
Right.
That's the bitch off.
And kablooey. And then he settles over in some rubble of the base far away from where they just blew up where the generator was underground. And Child shows up and they have a little talk about, where things are going. And
yeah, where you been? He's like, where you been, man? He's like, what the fuck? Oh, I saw him and I went after him and he explains himself and stuff. And they both basically come to the conclusion that, all right, I guess neither one of us are monsters.
Right. I guess if you're the monster at this point, why do you need to hide it from the other person there?
Yeah, there's only one left.
Yeah. I mean, I think, and that's the other thing about it too, which is kind of interesting. A lot of people have said, so is he a monster? And then people say, well, there's a time lapse between when, Kurt Russell sees him, and then there's the bigger issue, which is if one of them is a monster, right? They're both going to freeze. And when they freeze, they're going to be found. You know what I mean? And and even, we don't even know how many other little parts of this. Like it's basically two, embracing the reality of their situation. They are going to freeze to death or whatever. It doesn't matter anymore. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's what they say. Fuck it. We're going to die. We're not getting out of here.
Yep.
He actually says that a little bit earlier when the three of them are left and they're planning all their dynamite. He's like, we ain't getting out of here. So let's just take this fucker with us. And so these two are left. I think they got a bottle of that JB that he's had throughout the movie. And they just sit there, two men by a campfire, basically sipping on some whiskey until the end comes. And it was pretty awesome. And there were no last minute low hanging racial fruit jokes, black man or white man and all this some bullshit. It was cool. It was how movies are. The unlike how they are now, where there's hyper focus on race and gender and all this bullshit. These are just two dudes that did what they had to do and accepted their fate. And we're going to sip, and like he said earlier, it's going to be 100 below, so it ain't going to take long. That's another thing. The fire's burning, but it's not going to last long. And he says, neither will we. So have a seat, pass this bottle back and forth until we freeze to death. That's it.
It's great, man. Muted.
I muted it because I was looking for something. Sorry about that, guys. My uncle had the special Blu-ray, a laser disc in the 80s when I was a kid of this movie. And there was an extra scene in there to explain why Blair wanted to freeze himself when he was the alien. He was waiting until they found a cure for something very serious.
Oh, we know you're Wilford Brimley.
You know, he was waiting for the cure. He heard the cure was around the corner. So shout out to Big Oatmeal. And I hope you made it, buddy.
Yep.
You know, you're a legend. So
that's right.
Yeah. But yeah, this shit was great, man. This was a good movie. I like the ending. The very macho ending. You know, two men accept their fate for the greater good, and they don't have a problem with it. No one's crying. No one's, it's all sad and shit. This is how it is. It's not going to take long. Minus, negative 100. So it's about to be over quick. But let's just sit here, shoot the shit till it comes.
Yeah, so I loved it. That was a great movie. And I've got great news for everyone for next week. You guys in the chat. This is Double Impact. You already know this, guys. And Double Impact is the great Van Damme's movie. Well, did you guys know that at a dinner I went to in August in Chinatown in Los Angeles, California, I sat next to some luminaries from Hong Kong and Hollywood martial arts cinema. Really, Benny the Jet Urquidez was there. Sheldon Lettich, who wrote Lionheart, he wrote Rambo 3. There was like 100 people there. People from Kung Fu Hustle. But the guy I sat next to at the party was the great Todd Senefonte, and he was Van Damme's stunt double in many movies, starting with I think Sudden Death, which is Die Hard in a Hockey Arena. And then up until he was on Jean-Claude Van Johnson, the Amazon Prime show, he did a lot of stunts for Van Damme in many movies. He's going to join us live next week and discuss Double Team with Mickey Rourke, Dennis Rodman, and a tiger chasing his ass all over a Coliseum. That is going to be a hoot. I love that. I'm very excited to have Todd. He's a friend of mine. We just hit it off at this dinner. And I really like talking to him. He's actually a really funny guy. He's very based, even though he's a Hollywood guy, he's based. Yeah, he's a based dude. So it's really fun. Let me see that. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. So be here for that. Let me see if I have a little bit of something right here from him. Let me mute myself for just.
Yeah, let's show him some Double Impact support, man, when he comes in here and just I'm excited about it, man. Amazing things happen on this show. Amazing things.
I've watched that movie. I think it came out in 97. So I was about 17 years old. So I remember watching it. I don't think I saw it in the theater, but I definitely saw it when it came out on video and shit like that. And I've seen it a few times. I watched it a couple times with my son recently, like in the last year. So it'll be nice to watch it with a more critical eye. And talk.
Yeah, I got to rewatch it again because I haven't watched it in a couple of years. So now for this, obviously. Holy cow, that is striking.
He looks like Van Damme.
Right. Oh, you should see some of the other. He looks just like him. It's crazy. And he's a great guy. He's a great, hilarious improver. We did an hour interview. I recorded it, and then I chopped it up into 5 videos. He kind of told me his life story of how he got into martial arts cinema and all that. And he was just a regular guy in where it's Dunmore, I believe, Pennsylvania. And that's north, like near Scranton, basically. And people kept telling him, you look like that. Oh, he was in boot camp. That's right. He was in boot camp. Yep. He was a young man. And his buddies were like, you look like that kickboxer guy. So the CO wheeled in a VCR in the old days, and they all watched Kickboxer and like teased him. And then he was like, he went to some other event, and there was a person there that had done bodybuilding or somehow knew Van Damme and said, you know what? You look like Jean-Claude Van Damme. And when you see him when he's young, he looks just like him. It's insane. And then there was one other time he did some modeling locally for like a furniture appliance or whatever. And the guy that was photographing him, like holding up a screwdriver next to a dishwasher or whatever, he'd done a lot of work in LA and like somehow knew Van Damme or said, you really look like Van Damme. Why don't you call this guy at, I think, William Morris Agency or one of the big Hollywood agencies? He took some glamour shots of himself, like looking, I don't know, like a karate guy or whatever. They called him 3 days later and they were interested in talking to him. And, long story short, he's Van Damme's first it was his photo double and all that, and then eventually he became his stuntman and all that other stuff. But listen to him talking about the tiger scene from Double Impact here for just a second. This is really funny how this video starts.
you know, you never knew, because I remember right before we did the tiger scene, I called my mom up. I asked the producer, if can I borrow your phone? Hey, Mom, I'm doing the scene with the tiger. Oh, is it nice? Oh, yeah, I'm petting it. It's trained. It's really nice. It's going to be nice. Okay, Mom. Love you. Bye.
All right, guys. So, but none of that was true about the tiger and all that. Like, he had to run from a tiger in that movie Double Team and jump into like a gate, and then one of the assistant people would slam it shut before the tiger could get him. And the tiger trainer was like, "Don't worry, it's all safe. Maybe when you go by the tiger's cage, smack the bars, like kind of get it mad and stuff." This is like a full-grown tiger. This thing.
No, I'm gonna do that tiger docile.
Right. So yeah, Todd is a hoot. He's a funny dude. He has so many great stories about working with Van Damme and working in Hollywood. So it's going to be a blast to have him on here. So
I already have a question for him. I need to know everything about the guy with the switchblade in his toes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You have to explain that.
Yeah.
Right.
And I got to tell you, the original version I thought was actually a tiger running from Mike Tyson. You know, but they couldn't get Mike. You know, so like,
any living being that looks back and sees Mike Tyson with powder around his nose, it's time to get out of there.
Have you seen that British comedy show they did, where they asked people who their favorite fighters were and asked them what they thought about Mike Tyson, and then Mike Tyson would come out behind them? It's the greatest thing you'll ever see, man.
Yeah.
It's like, God, I was hoping it was a tiger.
I wanted to show you guys here's a little bit of his demo reel from some of his movies, and you'll see how much this dude looked like Van Damme. And he still does. When I interviewed him and he would make certain faces, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Van Damme. But here's his demo reel.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Right? He looks so much like him, but you got to see some of this.
This is actually Todd Senafonte.
All yoked up too.
Dude.
But yeah, this is his demo reel, I guess, that he would send around in those days. But he was in The Quest. He was in a bunch of those mid to late 90s Van Damme movies. Here's Knockoff, right? He's with Rob Schneider. He was in so many movies with Van Damme. It was crazy. So cool guy. He says Van Damme is a great dude. They're great friends and stuff. So I don't know. It's going to be really fun to have a stuntman that did all these great stunts and let us know what it's really like. Because, you know, we sit here and we watch movies and we're critiquing from the tiger. No. That's him running from that tiger, dude.
Hells no.
Right. So, but we sit here with the cheap seats and we criticize and critique movies. But, shove me in front of the camera, see how I do, right? That's always then it gets real. So I'm excited.
That's amazing. Period.
Right.
That's unassailably incredible what he's doing there.
Right.
Period.
Yeah. Todd's a beast, man. I think it's great. And he's still acting. Incredible. You know, he had a new movie, The Rideshare Killer. It was about some serial killer it's on Amazon right now. And but yeah, Todd Senafonte, fun guy. Next week, 7 p.m. Pacific on Wednesday.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, that was the end of our 4 spooky movies for October. We had a lot of fun. I can't wait for next week. Thank you all. Make sure you're subscribed. Check out all the links in the description, and we will see you next time. All right? Bye.